Tuesday, November 19th, 2024, Otherwise Board of Commissioners meeting. It is 9:02 a.m. and we are going to call the meeting to order and start with the approval of the agenda. I'll make a motion to approve the agenda and discuss whether we have a non-public session.
Second.
I think we should have a brief non-public session at the end of today's meeting.
Okay.
So we'll do that. And any other comments on the agenda? All in favor of this agenda with the non-public session? Say aye.
Aye.
3-0. Second is the approval of the minutes of the 14th. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes and discuss them.
Second.
I had a couple of things. Do you have anything while I bring it up?
I did not.
So I win this week.
What?
So I win this week.
Boo. At least you're reading them. I do it to test you. You know.
Nancy has a story in that that's pretty good. In yesteryear.
Yeah, I believe it.
Briefly, she put in blah, blah, blah.
Good
In the
for
middle
you.
of a
And they
minute.
approved it.
Yeah.
And they approved it. Yep.
Nice.
We won't say what year and when that happened, but she tested it.
Oh
Yes.
my God, isn't that hilarious?
That probably
So-
embarrassed a few individuals.
No.
No,
No,
they didn't,
no,
they
no.
didn't care.
No. You
The first
couldn't.
thing is, in section number 4, DPW Jeff DiMartino, the second bullet
Yeah.
said the graded brakes. It's
Oh,
as in
brakes.
coffee breaks as
I
opposed
gotcha.
to
Oh.
standing the brakes and make the machine stop. So just change that brakes to.
Very good.
And the second one was, there's a bullet that has DPW2 with Roman numerals, and we use the number 2, Arabic. That's the,
You use number 2?
yeah,
DPW.
instead of, it looks like it could be
Number 2.
DPWII.
Gotcha.
And then the next sentence has that it's a fiberglass ladder. Is that what the 24-foot
Mm-hmm.
ladder? You got a fiberglass one? Okay.
I haven't gotten it yet.
Not yet.
You're gonna get a fiberglass
Yeah.
one?
Yep.
Okay. And that's it. Thought I had something else. Nope, that's it. So with those corrections, all in favor of approving these minutes?
Aye.
2-0.
I have to abstain
Wood is
because I wasn't
abstaining, he
here.
was
Yeah.
away. Okay, next on the agenda is the approval of the manifest. We have an operations manifest for the total of $2,042.08. I'll make a motion to approve and discuss this manifest.
Second.
So we just had a few things on it. We bought diesel fuel. It's kind of interesting that one of the amounts was $16.03 and the other one.
It's 2 bills.
Right. So they had a bill where we bought just a few gallons of it, I guess.
From the state shed?
No? No.
From Eastern.
This is Eastern.
It looked like there was one that we owed from last month, and then they made a delivery and
Only delivered 16 gallons?
No,
No,
$16.
$16 worth.
it was like four
So close to-
point something gallons.
Yeah. That's odd.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
that
that's
that
what
was the
caught
end
my
of
eye.
October, and then the next one was the beginning of November, November 6th.
Hmm.
And that one was for $75.
That's even odd.
It's very bizarre.
So you guys are walking around the village instead of driving it to.
Well,
burn fuel.
yeah. And you know, the grader hadn't been running much. And,
Right.
Yeah, right.
And, you know, the big truck, you know, once I did all that trucking, that's been sort of sitting idle. So, you know,
Yep.
between the grader and the backhoe and the truck, the Dodgers we'd filling up over at the state shed. So,
I don't ever remember them coming by and just having to top it off with 4 gallons.
No
me
kidding.
either.
So let's
Well, they were there. They
keep an
probably
eye on
just-
that, see if the
yeah,
next
whatever.
one's a Whopper. Because,
Right.
And then we got 22.54 tons of rock salt for $1,800.95.
Yeah, that triaxle came last week.
So one truckload can carry 22 tons, almost 23 of that. And then we got a street lighting bill for $149.53. And we want to talk about electricity later. I'm going to bring it up in my commissioner's report. And
Yeah, it's on
you
there
have-
on old
You
business.
have some stuff on that too from the broker?
Yeah,
First
well,
power.
he's yet to get back, but he acknowledged our request.
So any questions on this manifest for $2,042.08?
Nope.
So it's been motioned and seconded. All in favor of approving this manifest, say aye.
Aye.
3-0. Next, we have a manifest for the water assessment of $29,348.63.
63.
I'll make a motion to approve and discuss this manifest.
Second.
Aye.
So, the big thing is the bill from the water operator.
Yes.
And I had a few questions about that. Did you have any comments or questions about this?
No, it shows the different sites that were being worked on and,
Yeah.
You know,
I
so-
previously sent an inquiry to you guys to review on a water hookup, but I didn't hear back from anyone.
So one of the things that's on here is the water main repair that happened at the corner of Little Shore and Idlewild Drive.
Yes.
And some of the things that we should make note of is that to have his mini excavator there, which he calls a 10,000, he doesn't say pound, but I believe it's a 10,000 pound excavator, and that's how they
Right.
reference the size of these things is by
Yeah.
their weight. So it includes 8 hours of operation, being there for a day, and the delivery of it, and that's $1,500. So in your travels, if we rented a excavator, I'd like to get that number, get an idea of how we're paying for this stuff. Then on top of that, it says that we had an equipment operator for the heavy equipment at $125 an hour. So the operator isn't built into the $1,500 price. But that's 1 hour.
Yeah.
And then there was a community, a pipe fitter operator. And that's charged at $110 an hour, and that was 9 hours.
Wow.
And then there was a laborer there for 9 hours at $75 an hour. So the total on that is 15, and I figured it was close to $2,700 for that project.
Yeah.
But on top of that, we had you guys there. We had 2 men there with the backhoe and one of the rams, the dump body ram.
Yep.
So that's built into the cost of it too. Our 2 guys there for, I don't know, you guys weren't there for 9 hours, but you were there for
No, but our cards were marked for that.
several hours,
Correct.
right? I'm just saying what the total
Right.
cost of a project
Yeah.
Right.
like this is. And then the cost of materials that we put, the sand that we put back in, which is
Right.
minuscule, but it's a cost.
Well, it's a cost. It's all documented. I've got
Yeah,
all that
yeah.
written down.
I'm just saying,
Right.
I'm just saying what the total cost of
Yeah.
this thing is,
Yeah.
just so,
Yep.
like we're aware. And then, the other,
What I don't understand, the excavator says includes 8 hours operation and delivery at 1,500, but then when it comes to equipment operator, is the equipment operator of that excavator? And he only used it for 1 hour, or is that another piece of equipment?
yeah, that's a little mystery that I couldn't figure out. It doesn't say what equipment, the only equipment they had there was their excavator, the rest of it was our equipment.
Right, the backhoe. I mean, other equipment, small stuff, saws or
Is that something we
pumps,
need to
things
ask
like
Ian?
that.
Why are we being charged for a full day of an excavator if it was only used for an hour?
Well,
I could understand.
on top
Well,
of that
it
is that
wasn't
we're
only
paying,
used for
we're
an
paying
hour.
for a
No.
pipe fitter / operator. I'm guessing the pipe fitter is Ian. There were 2 laborers there.
Well, I'm gonna. I don't know. I'm gonna
Yeah, I'm not getting in the middle of things.
assume Ian's operating the machine.
Right.
Yes.
The pipe fitter is Noah,
Yeah.
and the laborer is the other guy.
Okay,
Fitz.
fit.
That would be my guess.
Yep.
And wasn't there a 4th younger kid there that was in the machine for a little bit?
No. No.
There was a fourth kid there, right?
Some guys that used to work with like Dawson stopped by that knows Ian and was there for a couple, you know, just sort of watching, hanging out for a few minutes.
And I took the operator as 8 hours with the machine and 1 hour to make it to the 9 hours.
That, okay.
That's
that
the way
makes
I
sense.
took it.
That's a very
Oh, I
good.
see.
That seems to make sense. And so the pipe fitter
Completely.
was a separate person,
Yep.
also 9 hours.
Yeah.
Right.
So
That
8
makes
hours
sense.
was built into the 1,500
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
standard charge for the machine to be on
Yes.
site.
Yep.
Okay.
And
Yes.
it went 9 hours with the other two guys.
So it's a
and-
surcharge.
Right.
Okay.
That's the way I took it.
For
Okay.
just that extra hour.
Yeah.
So then the only, what was community service labor? Okay, that's a third person.
Community service, community is a category that their billing system uses.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, something to them. Then the other part of the bill was a flushing of the Muddy Beach tank and tests for bacteria and uranium.
Yeah, that happened a few times.
So with that discussion, it also looks like the scanner needs to be cleaned. That black line is showing
Yeah,
up
you
again.
can't, it doesn't ever really get clean. You can minimize it a little bit, but it always comes back.
Right. I'll take another stab at it because I got it to be much lighter than that. Although it kind of like,
Yeah, but it doesn't last.
it authenticates our copy is that we have a black line on it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. We know it. We know it's
It
ours.
is what it is.
all in favor of
So
approving this
watermark.
manifest for $29,348.63, say aye.
I
3-0. Next we go to the DPW report at 9:14. Morning, Jeff.
Good morning. So, the DPW report. We've been outfitting the 2019. We've got the spreader up and running on that. So, you know, going through the plows and all that and getting that one ready to go. I'd like to have that set up by the beginning of the week before Thanksgiving next week. At least have one truck ready to go just in case.
What, for snow, you mean?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay,
And ice and sand
And ice and sand,
okay.
yeah.
salt.
Salt,
Winter conditions.
all, yes. So I'm gonna contact Albany Service and see about getting the snow tires switched over and, getting those put on and all that,
Okay.
so that's all part of the outfitting. I have no word on the blower yet, so I'm gonna get back on the horn with John Deere and try to see where we're at with that. But good news on the grader, bad news was last week the brakes went on that. So the same sort of setup was happening, the same code, same lights, same thing. They came right up yesterday and they solved the problem.
Which was?
Which was into where he was going in with, remember we had to get them switches and a solenoid put
Yes.
into that and all that? Well, there was more to the solenoid or the switch, there was like another part of it. So when he brought the one part up, that didn't solve it. There was like another end to it that was faulty and damaged he brought up this time and that's what repaired it. So,
That's not impressive.
At all.
They would put Tony back into the machine on Oak Ridge, and there was a part that they didn't check.
yeah, I mean, they thought they had it going, but I guess
But it's
it
done
doesn't.
now.
But it's done now.
Who fixed this again?
Chadwick,
Yeah.
Bay Ross.
Yeah.
And they also took care of the wing on that, so that's all set as well.
So what if they charge us for this?
We haven't seen anything yet.
No, I understand that, but they only just did the work a day or two ago, right?
Yesterday.
Yeah,
Yesterday,
right.
2 trucks were here.
So
Yeah.
I was talking to Jeff earlier that all the work we had recently should have been under warranty, but you're saying this was an additional piece of equipment that wasn't done during the initial overhaul. And yet they delivered it to us in working condition. It failed, could have been a real hazard. So I'm gonna be real concerned if they charge us for that.
They're
Yeah.
gonna charge us.
So did they charge us for the intermediate things between the time we got it back and the other service calls they made on it?
There were quite a bit of service that was done in between time that I think they took on the chin.
Okay.
Because I don't
'Cause I
remember
hadn't
seeing
seen
it.
it.
When Dale come up with those, now we maybe paid for those, we've had to pay for the solenoids and stuff
Yes.
like that, but the labor for him diagnosing those and doing those, I think he took.
Okay.
Now this being a service call, they came up with the truck. He showed up as well on his own time to work with the guy, but the guy from Chet, the main guy in the service truck's gonna get charged. I believe we're gonna get charged.
Wait a minute, I suppose I could understand if there was an additional piece of equipment that didn't get replaced last time, I could see being charged for the piece of equipment itself, but for the labor, that they screwed up by not having a thoroughly done job.
I guess they could have covered it by covering that bet and changing that part out and charging us for it, and they didn't, and then it failed. And now they're doing it,
Right,
so I could see what the debate would be on that.
yeah.
All right, well, I'm
When they
just
gave
saying.
it back to us, they believed it was working, and we believed it was working.
Right,
And then that part failed.
right.
It's like Boeing. We thought we put the door on.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Well, we'll have to watch for what comes in for charges.
Yes.
You know?
Okay, how about the stabilizers on the deer?
They seem to be working at this point since he left the last time. There has been a couple incidents where they don't work properly, but they, again, it's not something that's been fixed 100% in my mind.
So it acted abnormal since the last time?
Since the last time they were up as well. He was more focused that time on getting the blower set up when he was here last week, which didn't happen either.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I've got to I don't know if they've been avoiding me or what, because they don't have an answer for me, but I got to get some answers.
Okay.
So there's no blower at this point, and we all see the leaves. So I know I had a conversation with Wood before he left about possibly having to rent something from Coleman's to get some of the leaves off the road if we're not back in business with our own setup. So I don't know where that sits with you folks. I know it doesn't sit well with me, but
Yeah, but on the flip side of the coin, I mean, we've been blessed with really good weather, but we know that sooner or later the snow's coming.
Right.
And if the culverts aren't clear,
right.
I mean, that's gonna make your work even tougher.
Well, it's gonna make a nightmare for all of us.
And we don't know if this, our own blower and the John Deere, the combination of the two, is gonna be in working condition anytime soon.
Right.
And I
And
think
does
we're
the-
running out of time.
Does the rental get down into the culverts like?
They have a couple different setups. They've got the same setup we have that goes on a skid steer, the Buffalo turbine. I don't know the availability of that. And then they have one where we rented years ago where it's a stand up and you ride on it, and that works really well too.
That's what
Get it
Tony
down
said.
into
That
the
gets
mouth of the
down in
culvert?
there and blows them out pretty good.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
That's what Tony said he did a couple of years ago, and said he was able in a couple of days to get them all done.
Right,
Then
right.
why do we own a blower?
What's that?
Why do we own one then?
Well,
We
We
had
could
it.
just rent them when we need them and not have to worry about all this money we're
The
spending trying to
donated,
keep it going.
knock on
right.
wood.
I mean, that wasn't something
And like,
that.
we determined we don't need brakes on the grader because Tony got it down with it.
That one, that's different. I would like to make a motion that we rent that rider one.
Yeah.
We
Right.
this has gotta be
I
done.
could go check with Coleman's and see the availability on what they have for a blower in the next week or so, because like you say, time is of the essence.
I mean, if we get our own fixed, that's all fine and well, but,
We don't know.
you know, that's becoming more and more the backup as opposed to maybe a primary method of,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do we have any idea about what the cost would be for renting that so that we can
I'm not sure. I
possibly
mean, I
approve
guess off
that
the
right
top
now?
of my head would be a few $100s a day for something like that. $400 or $500 a day maybe for one of those.
okay, so is it a 3-day job?
Could be a 2, depending on how quickly and,
Okay,
but yeah, so that'd be kind of a rough guess. But I would put 500 a day.
Really? Wow.
I mean, I'll check, I'll call when I leave here and ask, you know, over there what it is and what the availability is. But I'm not positive, because we rented that one from John Roberts over in Tamworth that last time. Again, that was all through the previous, and I don't remember what it cost. I didn't have anything to do with it.
So Coleman's has one, but it's due to availability, but there's another place that has one as well?
Well, I mean, we could ask John over in Tamworth if his is available. Last I talked to him, he was out getting a new motor put in it, so I'm sure that's done by now,
I
but,
think Burke rents equipment, I think the town rents the grader when they needed it, and so, I don't know if Burke has a blower.
yeah. I don't know either. But, something we could look into.
Okay.
So would have made a motion.
Yeah, make a motion to rent a blower, but we don't have enough information yet, so it's either that or we approve an amount to just
Yeah, up
run
to
with it.
something.
But, do we want more information before we make a motion, or just,
It's another week.
Yeah, and you'll be right into the middle of the
yeah, the holidays is...
the holidays,
Yeah.
so
Well, then the other consideration is, I mean,
what if we allow up to 500 a day for
4 days?
Two.
Three, I'd say 3
2 to
days.
3
2
days.
days?
3 days.
3 days? So not to exceed 1,500?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, I could go for that. And your capacity, let's say you could get it this week. Do you have the capacity to put that in this week?
To do it?
Yes.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay.
I was trying to bring up the last,
It's gonna rain next
I was
couple
gonna
of
say
days.
Thursday,
Before,
Friday,
yeah.
looks like some rain.
Yeah.
Oh, you're looking
Man,
back?
We desperately need
Looking
that. I'm
back.
sure that makes the blowing more complicated.
It does.
we had one ending October.
I mean,
right?
they're pretty rugged. They'll blow the leaves wet. I mean, those things, like even the one we have,
Nice.
they're
Yeah,
pretty
it's
awesome.
easier if it's dry. Right, okay.
But, you know,
All right,
keep
so-
the dust down if it rains a little bit.
So I'll make a
Yeah,
motion to
true.
approve up to $1,500 in blower rental to be done as soon as possible.
Right.
So,
Second.
1,500, I'm looking at the November 6th, I think it was,
Budget
budget spreadsheet.
and actual.
And this would go under equipment rental?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Subcontract equipment?
Yep.
There's, as, at the end of October, there was $2,154 left out of 2,500. 346 was spent renting equipment.
So
Right.
we still have it in our budget.
Yep.
So the motion's been made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
3-0.
Wednesday, last week, I worked with Ian and Simply Water on the Oak Ridge leak. That went very well.
How deep was the pipe?
Oh, the pipe was a good 6 feet down. Yeah, no, it was down deep. It's amazing how the material around the pipe, but I mean,
Tell Woody what you saw.
oh, rocks.
Like
Nothing
big
but
ones?
rocks. Big ones.
Like ledge type rock?
No, but big
Big-
eggs, big nuggets right up against the pipe. I mean,
No
it was.
way.
It's unbelievable
This
how
is
some of
the
this stuff
original
was
pipe
put
that
in
was
years
installed.
ago.
And what was it made of? What was the pipe made of?
It's all
PVC.
PVC?
plastic.
Yeah.
No
Okay.
kidding.
3-inch PVC pipe. So we got that dug out. And I helped them haul the material off, and then hauled the material back for them, and we got that packed in and fixed up nice, and so that all went really.
They did, the The water operator did a nice job with the asphalt replacement.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, they
Oh.
patched it in real smooth.
Yeah.
That job couldn't have gone smoother.
So what, was it just a joint that came undone? What?
No, it just looked like a little pea hole.
Oh
Just
my
Little
Pin-
pinhole
God.
pinhole
got pricked in it, and
So it's just a replacement
yeah, they were able to cut the piece of pipe, a section of the pipe out, and put new
joiner pipe in?
yeah
You said there was a rock up against it where?
rock right up against it.
So the pipes can move, and then expansion, it's down 6 feet, so it shouldn't have moved much with thermal thrust, but the pipes
Pressure of the
vibrate
pipe
with water,
itself.
and just a touch like that can work
Whoa.
at it. And it might have taken 40 years for it to wear a hole.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it was right next to a joint. There had been a
Oh,
joint
okay.
right there. So
But the joint held, it was just a abrasion or something against the pipe itself that caused,
Yeah.
Wow.
yeah, you know, tough
A
to
leak.
say, but it all went smooth, and that job come out nice.
cool, okay.
And the only other thing I have is the big loop pipe. We had that little issue in the spring with Mother Nature and the
We're
beavers. Well,
talking
they're back.
culvert?
The culvert pipe?
pipe.
People culvert, yeah.
Yeah, so the beavers have dammed that back up.
Oh,
So we're gonna go fight that right now.
I thought the input was higher than the output.
Yeah, we took a drive by yesterday, like checking on those potholes, and all of a sudden we said, "Wait a minute." Said that side looks higher than this side.
wow.
Wasn't making much noise with the
No.
water dropping, but I thought I heard a little trickle happening in there.
Yep, she's plugged solid.
Oh,
So
no kidding.
we're gonna pull that, do our thing there and clear it. But I also got to call into the other
guy?
the guy.
To
Mike Stevens, so,
yeah.
Yeah, I never thought that worked. Well, here, when did we pay him? Last year or this year?
It
this
was
year.
this year.
Well, the problem what happened in the spring was he couldn't
Yeah.
find the lodges. They
Yeah.
hadn't established a home.
The beavers
Now going
outsmarted
into
us.
winter, they've established a lodge somewhere.
They have to.
Because
For
they
the
have
first
to.
time, he actually gated off the output of that culvert with fencing.
Yeah.
He still didn't get them.
Just to try to.
Well,
yeah.
because he was stumped, he couldn't find the house, because there wasn't one. Well,
Yeah,
that he,
well-
that he saw going up and down the canals.
Well, we used to have a grate that went on the Big P side of
Yeah.
the culvert that came off. If that went back on, that would prevent the beavers from getting in the culvert itself, wouldn't it?
They come in the other side.
They're smart.
They
That's
still
right,
get
it's
in
every
there.
time.
The
Jeez,
state
that's
mandated
amazing.
that the opening of that grate had to be, I believe, 8 inches. And they can navigate sticks through that 8-inch opening.
Yeah, they still built with that in there. So then I'd have to go.
Remember that MIT
Yeah.
has the
Pull
beavers
that up.
on the
Yeah,
wings,
Yes.
get in there.
right?
Yeah.
They're not stupid.
The
Wow.
beavers are damn smart.
They are.
No, no pun intended. They're damn smart.
No, and they eluded us in the spring
Yeah, they definitely
somehow, some
This is
way.
like
Which
Caddyshack, huh?
yeah. So I hope they didn't come back. I prayed they didn't come back, but in the back of my mind, I knew they were going to,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
they
yeah.
They
did.
never left.
So you want to go another round with the trapper? Or the person that removes them to another environment?
Right. So I think we have to. Because I could keep pulling the thing through, but they're just going to keep coming back and putting it back
Yeah.
up. And now the problem is that's a 5-foot pipe, 6-foot pipe. Well, there's only that much of the pipe exposed right now. God bless you.
Thank you.
If that were to freeze up, which it's going to freeze, now the pipe's not passable. Where are we when we get some heavy rains?
Right.
Like we
Yeah.
did last December.
Right, we're
And
in trouble.
anytime you're gonna ram a tree, log down and.
No,
fade up,
we've got
or-
another system that works better.
You're
clearing it?
gonna go in there?
Well, yeah. I gotta get a rope through there, and then we pull
Yeah, yeah.
an old grader
Drag it.
tire through,
I see.
Oh, okay, that's right.
and
I
it
forgot
just
they did that,
Yeah.
pulls
That's less likely to take the aluminum lining off the inside of the pipe too.
if you hit it with the side of a stick. Right.
I think dragging the tire is safer.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Poking the stick in
Yeah.
there,
Yes, you can damage it.
anything could happen.
Right.
No, this method seems to work pretty
Good.
slick. If the kids didn't go in there this summer and pull my little rope out of there that I kept in there for this
Oh.
purpose,
Make it easy.
then I wouldn't have had to gone back in there today. But I got some boots and I'm gonna head in there.
In thermals.
Yeah. So that's where we're at.
Okay.
That's what we got going on.
Okay. Any questions?
Yeah, we should make a motion to have the Trapper come back.
Yeah.
You making that motion?
Sure.
Second.
Aye.
You ready to
Aye.
vote? 3-0, yeah. You want to take a look at Class 6 Thusis. Nancy and I met with the owner, just had a discussion about
Yeah.
what could be done, what would be good. And we could tell him what he had to do with the driveway because of driveway permitting, but we suggested how the drainage comes down the Class 6 road. He had a contractor there, and you could take a look at it. They dug a ditch down the west side,
Yep.
facing the road. It's the right side, into where the input of the culvert that brings it back to the brook that goes across the road and
Yeah.
up to the wetlands. So, we were talking to him about that, and now it's done. You probably want to see it, you'll see it in
Yeah,
your
I'll see it,
adventures
yeah.
anyway.
So,
So
was
take a
it
look at
ready
that.
when you went?
Okay.
Yeah, it
Was
looked
ready
pretty
when
good.
you went?
It
Yeah.
looked pretty good.
Oh, good.
So he's gonna have his driveway have a negative grade, so it feeds into that ditch that wasn't there Saturday. Well, the beginnings of it was there, but now it
Beginnings
goes all
were
the way
there.
down.
Okay.
And there's a couple of loads of material up at the intersection of the Class 6 Thusis and Edelboden. It doesn't block anything.
Right.
But I think the contractor that owns the undeveloped property that's cleared above it is starting to
Yeah.
Clear it away.
improve all that.
Right.
So take a look at it
I'll
when you
take a
drive
look at
around.
that. Yep.
That's the
And-
same one who did the work on 13 Tusis.
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
he might have even dug the ditch
Yeah.
Yeah,
this week.
I'm sure.
Yeah. I had to get blood this morning, so I'm super hydrated. I'll be right back.
Okay.
What else we got?
That's what I have.
We talked about putting a 6-inch riprap on Blinden at the curve where Andrew Hardervelt
Yes.
pointed out that there was erosion happening
Yeah.
under the road.
Yep.
Yeah, we're
So-
gonna hope to address that this afternoon after
Okay.
we
Oh, nice.
fight
Okay.
with Bucky.
And let's see. I'm going to talk about contacting bottom feeders about the outhouses. He says he's been here before,
Right.
actually more than once,
Yeah.
and he's not recommending. He's saying that you can't pump those things.
Right.
Um,
That's too bad.
He says even the forestry department, U.S. Forest Services, has got to the point with some of them that they put hydraulic cement down in them and put the
Cap them.
cap them and put porta potties inside, so you're not looking at blue plastic. But when you go in, and I don't know if ours need
I
to be
don't know if they're
modified
tall
to
enough.
fit them, right? So we'll bring that up
Oh.
with the people that are interested in
Right.
it. But I thought I'd let you know before you left.
Yeah.
And I gave the rest of
Yeah,
the
that's too bad.
Well,
Something
if
like-
it's that they don't like looking at the porta potties, then we could solve that. We won't get rid of the expense, but the expense of fixing it, the other thing he said is you bring an excavator in, it will just rip the whole thing out. And he says, then who are you gonna get to take the stuff
Right.
No.
into
Nobody
the
would want-
concrete tank? He says,
Right.
that's a problem.
I
Right.
wouldn't want to do
Even
it.
having somebody take it.
Wow.
Yeah, because I think it would automatically be listed as
Hazardous.
hazardous.
Right.
Yeah, you'd
So-
be paying prices like we pay to clean harbors to get rid of the
Right.
tight tank,
Tight
which
tank
was
type of thing.
very expensive.
Yeah.
Right.
And if we
Yeah.
get into the uranium business, now we're exporting all kinds of ugly stuff.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just want to let you know about that before you left.
Yeah. Thank you.
Also with Jeff?
Yeah, so you'll be working on that culvert today?
Yeah, I'm gonna head right over there now and hopefully manage that.
We're also going to try to put some 6-inch stone into a curve
Blinden.
at Blinden that's eroding, trying to erode under the paved road that Andrew Hardervelt sent an email about a while ago. So they make it to that.
Where along Blinden? Up
Up
toward the
high.
top?
Just up past the
There's a-
log
there's a
cabin,
tight
the newer log
curve
cabin,
above
going around the
Andrew's
corner.
house.
Yeah.
Down below the red log cabin, there's a tight curve and the water comes down and tries to get towards the road, and it's worked at it for years, and now it's time to put some big rock in there.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll get some 6-inch minus in there. We'll dig it out, shape it up, and then pack that with some 6-inch erosion stone, slow that down.
Nancy and I looked at Diesbach when you start walking around, take a look at Diesbach, you'll see that they did exactly what they said the day we met with one of the owners.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Yes,
came out nice.
yes, I saw that on one of my walks after you and Tony had finished up
Okay,
there, so I
seen
saw
that.
that.
We looked at Clausen, we looked at Foreclairs, we looked at Presidential. Good job with keeping the materials to a minimum. All of those sites, we know we're gonna put more gravel down next year when
Right.
the budget's straightened out.
Right.
But they did a good job with keeping their resources tight.
Excellent.
Yes.
Well,
job.
what we had to try to make it a smoother plow is
Right.
what we were
Yeah.
accomplishing.
Right.
Did you use the grader on Diesbach?
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we did.
yeah. That's when I was talking to Tony.
Yeah, right,
And he
right.
told me, that's when he told me about the rider blower. It
Yeah.
was just before I took off.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So,
All right. Well,
well,
thank you, Jeff.
Thanks,
you're
Jeff.
welcome. Enjoy this beautiful day.
Don't get too wet.
Stay
You're not
warm in that
getting
ice
too many
water,
more.
yes.
When does the new employee start?
December 2nd.
December 2nd.
December 2nd.
Right.
Okay.
Have a good day.
You too.
You too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, at 9:38, we move to scheduled appearances, which are none. We go to administrators report. We have nothing in there.
No, everything's under the next.
Any
However-
progress with those?
What?
Are we gonna talk about moving the account to Northway?
Do I do that under administrators? The next thing is old business anyway, so.
Right.
So there's been discussions about closing, when we close
Yep.
the Bank of New Hampshire account and move everything over to Northway. And the last thing I remember you telling me was you prefer to end the fiscal year so you can reconcile against one bank?
Yeah.
And I don't know what the pros and cons of that are.
Is this gonna be the last manifest out of Bacon, New Hampshire?
This one? I guess when we stop writing checks and when we start writing checks. So I can't say that on November 19th, we won't need to write another check against one of the bank accounts.
Well, right, but we'll start writing them against the new operations account in Northway.
I think that's what she doesn't want to do. Is that right?
Correct.
Is there a reason we can't start against Northway January 1st? And the deposit of the town's check goes into that bank. And January 1st or thereafter, we move everything over. What's the cons against doing it that way? Can you,
If that's easier for the bookkeeping, then that's fine. I
Yeah.
just,
Yeah, I don't want to be working on two different accounts at the
aren't you
same
gonna be
time.
working in Northway anyway? Because we will be using it some.
Well, you'd be depositing it.
we won't write checks against it until
We're not gonna write checks against it.
2025.
Is that the only thing you worry about, is the debits coming out then? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. Correct.
Well,
What's your motivation for not wanting to do it
I
that way?
just want it done.
So, but she has a good reason to,
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. As
Right.
long as it's done, as long as the first of the year, we can start out clean with Northway.
so what's our first meeting in
January?
2025?
That would be the
Seventh?
7th.
Tuesday the 7th. So it'll be the second week in July,
January.
January. So that date is when, if we approve anything to be paid, we definitely want to start using Northway.
Yeah.
And we want to use Bank of New Hampshire through December 31st. So
Yeah, but we wouldn't want to close it because we want to be sure that checks.
Correct.
we should vote now because Jennifer can't wait. We shouldn't wait till January 7th to vote to take the actions with the banks. We should vote now, the date, so that you know
Okay.
when you're gonna stop writing checks against Bank of New Hampshire without needing a commissioners meeting.
Sure.
Yep, makes
Sure.
sense.
Okay.
So, I'll make a motion that on December 31st, we stopped using Bank of New Hampshire's checkbook to pay
Operations.
operations bill or transfer. We stopped using Bank of New
New
Hampshire's.
Hampshire.
And then on January 1st, we start to use
Northway.
Northway
Yeah.
account.
Second.
Any further discussion on that? I'm gonna make another motion, I think, too, just to, all in favor of that?
Aye.
And do we need a motion about transferring money?
That means whatever's remaining in the UNH. So wouldn't we want to like leave it for a month to make sure all checks have cleared before we close it out for good?
We'll
Yeah,
know if
but
all
it's already
checks have
taken
cleared.
into account
that?
that
We'll
those
know if they've
checks.
cleared or not by the statement, so.
Correct.
Okay,
But-
so then wouldn't it be that once we know all checks have cleared, then we can close it down and transfer the monies?
So that's something we don't have to vote now. We can bring this up on January 7th,
Sure.
when there's a clearer
Right.
picture of what the statement is saying.
Okay,
And you can
Yeah,
calculate how
and
many
it won't be
outstanding.
January 7th, because the statements come like a week and a half later.
So there's no pressure on that.
right,
No.
Right.
so.
We could decide to transfer some money if we needed it,
Yeah.
but
Sure.
I don't think we're gonna need to.
Are you gonna try to start, moving paychecks to Northway?
Not till January.
And have we taken care of any automatic debit that needs to be changed?
As far as I know, but there could be stragglers. That's why we don't cancel the old one
Right.
for some time till,
Till we know nothing's gonna hit that account.
correct.
Because we don't wanna see anything bounce. That would be bad.
Yes.
So,
Well, and at the same time, they would get in contact with me,
True.
which isn't a bad thing either, because then I'd know it'd have to move. See, I haven't been in this for a full year, so I
Right.
don't know
Yep.
what,
Right.
yeah, we're taking our best stab at
yes,
predicting
correct.
Right.
things that we don't have a lot of
Right.
familiarity with.
Correct.
Like, how many payrolls are there left in December?
I have to look at a calendar.
That's what I'm saying is that, if you can figure that out, how you wanna do the payroll changeover. I don't think you want a payroll happening in January if you can avoid it against Bank of New Hampshire.
Okay.
Just think about that, I don't know. If you can figure out the payroll.
When do we get the next town check?
Depends.
The-
It will be
After the
around
19th.
Christmas.
The
After
bills
the
are due on the
19th of
19th,
December?
and they're pretty good about doing it within,
Okay.
it should be
December or
It
January?
would be in
December.
December if they do what they
Right, so
normally
you
do.
just said you wanted that check to get deposited into the new
Northway.
account.
Northway.
So either way,
Because there's enough
We're
in
gonna
Bank
be
of New Hampshire
fine.
to cover anything that we're
Yes.
doing.
Right.
So it seems to me we should have enough in
the new
Bank
account.
of, yeah, no, I mean New Hampshire Bank to cover one payroll cycle, and I think would be all right.
Right.
Just in case. If-
And you should look at it, and if
Just-
we need to do a partial transfer for any reason, we can do that too.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
December.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not worried about it, and I think we're,
We have a pretty good
I,
plan?
I
Yeah.
think I think the bank accounts now are sitting okay. That
Very
will be
okay.
okay doing it this way.
correct.
You know, and
Yeah.
it does make sense
It's
to
really
close it
good.
off at the end of the year.
I agree.
We have a plan.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we go into old business and the LCRR notification letter, response and water samples.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, I've been having to, this thing is like boggling me, but I think if I understand it correctly is, I have a letter here where there's 3 testing labs, but it is up to us to order a bulk amount of testing kits that can then be given to our water customers who request them.
okay, this actually really should have been done before this notice went out.
So,
Not really.
You don't know how many kits.
You don't know how many people are
the people that
requesting?
wrote the form letter that we sent out,
Yeah.
did they make it clear that there was this kit system and who pays for it?
They pay for it, but what I'm unclear about, here's the part I'm unclear about, is once we give the kits to the water customer and they do the tests, Are they responsible for shipping it back to the lab? Are we? And then what, all the documentation after it, because if you're looking long-term, what they want is every single customer on our public water system by 2034, they want to know what the status is. Because they say we have to send out this notice annually until that's done, which is crazy, because what if not everybody
what is
requests
done?
the kit? Till every household is documented as to what its service
And how
line
is that getting documented?
That's a big question. How? I don't know. There's a lot of questions on it, this.
Wouldn't the test document it?
Well,
The test is
yes,
optional.
Pardon?
Yeah,
They have to
not-
request the
A
test.
They have
lot
to
of these
request the
people are
test.
just gonna either ignore it.
that's exactly,
Or-
that's why I would like to cover this with Ian to see if he has any more insight into this than we do. But other than that, I'll go back, I'll start calling people again, saying, look, we met the first requirement that this notification got out by the 15th. That's done. Okay, now people are requesting kits, but I think it's only been like 3 people so far who are.
There's been 7 people.
7 people, okay. So is there a minimum quantity of kits that we order from the lab of our choice in bulk? How does that work? And then once we get them, all right, we can tell the people who are interested in having them to come to the office, pick them up, and then they take care of it from there up until what point? How does it get shipped back to the lab? Then what about the documentation after that? There's a lot of unknowns here, so I'll take up, since I started this, I'll continue doing this. But it's not all completely clear. There's several different letters out there.
This is getting bigger on you, so if you need help with that, let me know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is
All right.
there a date where we know new houses did not use the lead pipe? I mean, they don't use.
There's
it
nothing in
now.
our
There-
system that has them
That
reporting to us,
indicates- Yeah.
Yeah.
other than the water operator inspects the pipe.
There
Right.
was an email that came from a gentleman, you probably know who he is, I don't know who he is, but he said he lived here back in the 60s when the houses were being built. They weren't using lead back then, so to the best of his knowledge, there are probably none but it doesn't matter, because
It's
this is coming from the
Right.
Department of Environmental Services Federal, being pushed down onto New Hampshire, being pushed down onto municipalities that have public water systems.
So every other public system must be saying the same thing today that we are.
Yes,
Yeah.
They sent the same letter out.
right.
They're getting the same responses, and
Right, and I've in the past month or so, I've talked to people both at NHDS, who's in charge of this, as well as Arcadis, who was the company, and they've been flooded with questions, and it's kind of like they're over their heads too, you know. They keep hoping the more they push it down, it's delegated, it's off their shoulders. I'm sure they're. So this is going to be an ongoing project. So all I can say right now, Jennifer, if people call up, just tell them this is all brand new. We're trying to figure it out. We will get the kits at some point and let you know. Okay? And you can also probably tell them that to the best of our knowledge, the corporate knowledge.
Well, I've been
there's-
sending them where they can go to for New Hampshire DES to request, if they want to on their own, get a test kit on their own and submit it in on their own.
Right, but I think I saw an email where they're pushing it back on us.
Whatever the case is.
Yeah, okay.
But
so you have the names of the 7 people. I think what you should do is keep the names and say, we'll get back to you
Yes.
with the test kits answers
As soon as we have the
as
test.
soon as they tell us
Yeah.
how this all works.
Right. And at some point, we're gonna have to, once we understand how this all works, it's also, we are required to put up a whole information on our website, the VDOE
Yes.
website.
Correct.
Right. But we need to understand the process now first. So, again, I have a foggy notion how this works, but I don't have the full picture. But I do know that, I think we have to report in the next couple of months that we sent this notification letter out. So we got time on that. I'm not worried about that part.
Dealing with bureaucracies, I was
Yeah.
hoping.
They didn't think this through, huh?
No,
They should
no.
have
No,
this
I
out
think
for
it
all
was
these
a
public systems
haphazard-
before us.
Actually,
saying that they-
Ian made that comment
He said, why
last
didn't they
spring,
just test everybody's
saying
pipes,
that it
you
was
know?
just not thought through,
At all.
and
Well-
that there was a lot
It's
of
blowing-
questions
it's
from
blowing up
everybody.
right now.
Yeah,
I think we shouldn't wait to ask Ian that question because he did say what he had to say about it already.
Right,
well, I will be much more educated on this whole thing, I'll talk to people at Arcadis, New Hampshire,
I'd like to hear what
DS.
Conway Village and Ossipee water systems have to say about what they're experiencing.
Yeah,
And everybody's recreating the wheel on their own. If there were good communications, we could get better answers quicker if we knew that the people that put this out are ringing alarms now that they messed up how they did this.
there was a webinar that was out, maybe it's available as a historical, but to educate municipal systems, but that was several months ago. And the first I ever learned about it was when we were in our crisis with the bank and all that, and I was brand new, and it was like, I don't care about this right now.
right.
And I said, I'll deal with it later, which we did. And so this could have been something that was known even a year ago, but there was obviously no corporate knowledge passed down. So
So
maybe,
do you want to make some calls and let me know if you need help?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, let me
Rather
continue
than
running with this.
confusing it by me starting to.
Yeah, no, I think the only thing Jennifer needs to know, because she is getting calls on it, is just let them know we're still working on how the system works, but we'll let you know when we have the kits available, and what you need to do after that with it.
Right.
Okay?
But I'm still gonna forward to them the information that I found on my own where they can, if
Yeah.
they wanna look
Yes.
into it on their own, they can do so.
That's
Yep.
fine, that's fine.
Maybe somebody will call you and tell you the answers.
No kidding.
So that you stop telling people to do that because they don't like it.
Well, that's all I got.
Right? Okay.
So,
And I would think
it is what it is.
our lab that we use our regular
No,
water stuff from
no, they
could have the test.
They
It
might,
has
but,
to-
but
yeah.
there's three
Yeah.
labs here, one called State Public Health
Yeah.
Lab, Eurofins in Portsmouth, and something called PACE Alpha.
Yeah.
I say we just use the State Public Health
Yeah.
Lab, that seems to make the most sense in Concord.
Should we do an email blast and put this on social media to tell people?
Yes,
How this all works
when we
and-
know how it works, yes, and then get it up on our website too.
Wait to get more answers before we do
We
that?
need more answers, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
totally. Yeah.
If
Generate more
I wasn't away the
phone
last week,
Yeah,
I
okay.
would have been a little bit better knowledgeable this morning,
That's
but
right.
I didn't have the bandwidth, obviously, so.
Yeah.
All I was concerned was meeting that November 15th deadline.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm surprised how fast those bulk letters reach people. I thought it'd be this week they would have arrived.
Yeah, Jennifer mentioned it, and the next day I had the letter.
Yep,
Which I had a feeling.
We're all set for LCRR right
Yeah.
now?
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So then we move to hot well parking ordinance. I reviewed the ordinance again, and it makes a distinction between vehicles and trailers.
Oh, okay.
And it doesn't allow for trailers to park over 30 days. Trailers are
Correct.
not part, my reading of it is trailers are not part of the system where you can ask, it says you notify the village you're gonna stay over 30 days with a vehicle. And the village issues you an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper that has the logo on it that
they
says
put on their
something like they put on the dashboard
Yeah.
of their vehicle.
That gives a time. It'll have a time frame.
The ordinance doesn't say that.
Oh.
It doesn't say what's on that paper.
Oh, I thought it did.
I can pick it up.
It's so vague, that whole ordinance, the way it's written is just not
Takes a lot of
really
work to write a good ordinance.
specific.
There's only
So that's
one-
why I think
there's
they
only
came
one
up with this
car in
parking lot
parking lot.
request.
Went from 12 to 1, that's pretty good.
And if it's the little black car, Brandon says it has been moving. It didn't have a choice but to go back into the same space every
Yeah.
time because it was all trailer. But it was, he says it is moving.
Yeah, for a day.
And that's all they have to do,
Yeah.
according to this ordinance.
But I can't see how that's even legally done because I don't think that there's,
I hear you volunteering to change the ordinance.
I'm just talking about that particular vehicle. I don't think it has a proper registration.
It has temporary plates, right?
That expired?
Yeah, that are a year old maybe, I don't know.
That's the property owner, that's the vehicle owners
I don't
issue.
really know.
That's not
but
part of our
why do
ordinance.
I
That's not
have
part
to
of our
worry about
ordinance.
it? Yeah,
Although, so I have it up in front of me now.
yeah,
Any vehicle parked at the Hotwell parking lot which has not displayed the notice mentioned above. So you want to know what the
if the notice gave a time frame, the logo notice they put in there.
3.6, vehicles, comma, trailers with a capital T, comma, and recreational vehicles. That's ATVs,
Boats,
snowmobiles, belonging to or used by homeowners of the VDOE and or their guests
correct.
may use the Hotwell parking lot. The VDOE must be notified of any vehicle parked at the lot in excess of 30 consecutive days. The notification must include the vehicle description, license plate, owner's name, and contact information of the owner or party responsible for the vehicle. Vehicles now, not trailers, vehicles that have notified the VDOE will be provided with a notice on VDOE letterhead, which
Yeah.
must be placed on the dashboard of the vehicle parked at the Hotwell lot in an unobstructed and conspicuous location that will display the date and time
Yeah,
that the vehicle, in the date and time the vehicle was parked and the date and time that the vehicle will be removed.
There you go, Jennifer.
It says nothing about registration.
right, which is fine, but
But it does have dates and times that's put on there, the letterhead.
right, so someone could put 5 years from now.
No, you're putting it.
This
in
is
the
our
time.
document that's on the dashboard.
We put it
No.
on, yeah.
So you're in the business of making deals? is
So it
that what you're
says
saying?
30.
I'm just saying, like, they're gonna, so that form is still attached.
That's a form
After
you
the
found?
ordinance, it's on the website,
That's the form you found?
that's the form that's attached with the ordinance, right
Uh-huh.
underneath it, that they fill out, and they can put a period of to, date to,
That they do it?
they do it, and then they sign it.
So, we have to approve this or not? So they can
Correct.
fill out whatever they want?
Right,
And then we can
decide
change
whether
it.
we're approving it or not.
right. But I'm thinking that there should be some kind of indication to people that they can't just request. There's gotta be some,
Like somebody has a trailer that's been there and says that it's been there, they applied
yeah.
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
and think they have the right to keep it there for 2
Correct.
years. So this, when it comes time to changing this ordinance, you may have input for changing the form is what I'm
Correct.
hearing.
Oh, definitely.
All right. So, I don't see where it says that the trailer can't be there for 30 days, which seems,
Odd.
yeah, unacceptable.
Yeah.
I thought it said vehicles.
It says
It
says
vehicles, which
Vehicles can stay there for 30 days without having to do anything, which I'm not certain it makes sense to me, but why 30 days? Why would somebody leave a vehicle there for 30 days? Unless they were storing it.
Well, that's what people do.
They're storing unregistered vehicles now there, and trailers that don't.
possibly.
So this is gonna take a lot of work
Yeah, yeah.
to fix this.
People are using it as just a storage location.
And
Right.
they're not even reading this. They
Yeah,
think that they
I
can
had
keep.
an owner say, oh, I thought it was just a free-for-all.
Right. That was
That's
on
exactly what
social
he said.
media too. I thought you just could leave a trailer
Yeah,
there,
it's just-
period.
You know,
Right.
everybody else is there, why can't I park
That's the
there?
perception.
And the good thing is other residents jumped on that and answered,
Good.
saying no. So when do we find time to pour over this thing and draft a new one to propose to the annual meeting?
Somewhere between now and Jan.
This is another workshop by
January?
itself.
Yeah.
Yep.
When is the workshop that you talked about?
7th. That was for the budget though, wasn't it?
No, while you were gone,
Oh, something else came.
Nancy proposed a workshop just for the budget before the 7th.
Right.
When is that happening?
We didn't
don't.
set a time.
Okay.
We don't, workshop scheduling is on the
Right.
agenda.
All right, so have we done everything we can with the hot well lot ordinance
Right
for
now,
today?
For right now, yeah.
I want to jump to seeing if we can establish a date that we work on the ordinance itself, but in the meantime, we have to go with exactly what this says.
mm-hmm,
Which says trailers can't be there for over 30 days, and they have moved them, mostly. I
yes.
think there's one snowmobile trailer that has to be towed.
And the only car there is the unregistered one when I stopped to get the paper today.
Is the boat and the camper gone?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay. And we haven't notified the Madison police yet about
I
it?
haven't.
Okay. So, do we notify the Madison police about the snowmobile trailer that has to be moved?
There's no
There's no snowmobile trailer
It's
there
just
anymore.
the car.
Oh, even the big black snowmobile?
Everything's gone
Oh,
except for
okay.
the car.
Very
Yeah.
good.
That's what I mean.
Right.
You did good.
Right, and if
And
the
then that
car's coming
goes
in
in-
and out on a regular
That
basis.
Frito-Lay truck or whatever truck,
It gets
Uh-huh.
parked there.
That's a daily thing.
yeah,
And usually-
but it moves, it,
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
And he parks his personal car there while he's out in the potato
working,
chip
I
truck.
gotcha.
By the way, Frito-Lay is changing that truck on him and also changing the policy where the drivers can't bring it home anymore. So
Oh,
soon we
oh,
won't
Oh.
be seeing any Frito-Lay
so we won't be
truck,
seeing it at all?
oh, wow.
which kind of makes it
Alright, well,
harder
that
on
solves
him, but
that.
that's what they're
Yeah,
doing.
yeah.
Right,
They
Okay.
It has
fixed
nothing to
that,
do with
not
our
us.
parking lot, just
right.
things they did.
Hey, we offered him an out, but,
Well, nobody had any problem with him.
yeah, no.
Right.
He was moving it.
Saying we offered him an alternative.
Yep. So, here we are back at, what do we do with the little black car?
I think we should
We didn't
have
put
the
it,
police check the registration on it or something. Although it doesn't say anything about unregistered vehicles on the ordinance.
here's what I would like to do. Brandon gave me an idea of who might own it. And we didn't put a tag on it because it wasn't a trailer that we were talking about.
Right.
And we didn't know about the registration at the time. And the
Right.
registration's not part of our ordinance.
Right,
So if we ignore the fact that the registration isn't valid on it,
right,
they haven't done anything that violates our ordinance.
Right.
So, I would like to contact the family and say, we're looking at this car.
and why it continues to be
Yeah.
parked there.
It's not against the ordinance to have an unregistered car, but if the police see an unregistered car on public property, I don't know what that means. You can't
Right.
drive it away from there.
And that's why I don't think it's been moved either. I mean,
Well,
He says it
Brandon.
moves,
I hear
but it goes
that,
right back,
I hear that they've been driving it,
Right.
which means it's not legal to drive it.
possibly.
I'll check
So are you
the
okay with
license,
me
maybe it is.
taking a stab at contacting them to see if they'll deal with the car?
Yeah,
See what they say, and I'll report back next week, and then we'll decide what to do with this one last car. In the
Right.
meantime, you're saying somebody wants to bring their trailer back.
Yes, the gentleman that just moved the trailer and the boat or something.
Oh, you know that gentleman.
He
No.
wants to bring it all back.
No.
although if it doesn't restrict,
It's not restricting
Trailers.
anything right now.
it's a very poorly worded
But
ordinance,
he
and
he
it
would
was
then
a
have to put in,
petitioned
he'd have to put
article,
in an
so.
application, right, that form, application.
This doesn't allow you to put an application for a trailer. The trailer can't stay there more than 30 days.
Right,
He moves it once,
A
Right.
year.
and now the 30-day clock starts again.
Right,
It says we have the right to put chalk marks, crayon marks on the
right,
tires to track the
indicate
dates.
how long it's been there.
I think
Yeah.
cameras do a better job of that.
I mean, I don't understand, I mean, he's cleared it off, okay? Because I've seen before, people use that form, said they wanted to park a vehicle, they generally were trailers, if I recall
Vehicles
correctly.
aren't trailers. Trailers aren't vehicles.
Right, but this
According to
form
this.
says vehicle, construction vehicle trailer. That's what this form has.
Do you remember if that form was part of the warrant article that got passed?
I don't recall that
No.
being part of the warrant article. I think that form is the historical form that the district used
Prior to the ordinance?
prior to this new ordinance.
Interesting.
And it might have just
I was
simply
under the
already.
So if
impression
we're
that
agreeing
anybody
that
wa-
that form doesn't match the 2023 latest,
Correct.
then we change the form.
take it
You don't have
off.
to wait for the ordinance to change, we change the form.
Right.
Right. So
So I'm
any-
just putting
anything.
vehicle.
Anything, park anything.
This says you can only park a vehicle that has a dashboard.
Right.
So I can make a sign so they can put on the dashboard. Not
This
on
does
the
not say you can
trailer.
park a trailer there for more than 30 days,
Right.
is the way I read it.
I'd
Which
like to
means-
But what
volunteer
you're
to
saying,
work
he
on
could
the
bring it
parking
down for
lot.
30 days?
Yes,
Right.
that's the way I read this.
Okay.
And we would mark the tire
And
to
he can take it
indicate-
out and put it back for another 30 days and do that all winter.
That's, yeah.
We just gotta move it.
That's crazy.
It,
I'd like
it's
to
silly.
volunteer to work on the parking ordinance.
We'll get you a uniform
Okay, good. A badge.
and a
Meter maid.
and a taser.
And yes, we're gonna be setting up a citizens group, so yeah, you'd definitely be welcome.
But the whole reason we sent out those notices is it has to be clear for winter plowing. So
We're not talking about that front, okay.
The
There's a
back,
section,
the back
back
line
section.
has to be cleared so they can push all the snow.
Right.
The trailers were all the way where one of them was gonna get blocked in by the snow, they push against the back wall. And then we started the discussion is, do all those trailers, they haven't moved all year.
Yeah,
Right,
they were
more,
there.
That's
more
when
went
we're
in
gonna,
there.
now we're away from snow removal, now we're saying those trailers can't stay there.
Right.
And we got them to all move away. Then we started looking at the details of the ordinance and we're determining that they can come back, but they can't do what they did last time, was just leave them there for a year or two.
Right.
It has to move every 30 days. And now we have people that are highly interested in tracking this. And we're going to enforce this the way it's written, and we're going to change it to make more sense to us and see if other people agree with what we think makes sense.
Right, for the annual meeting.
Remember, the big
We're
thing.
massaging the turd, as they would say in the computer industry.
Can't you even change an ordinance before the annual meeting? I mean,
Not if
you
it's
call a
not
spe-
on
if you
this
call a
one.
special meeting. Oh, this only.
It had to be a special meeting of the legislative body. This was
Right.
a petition warrant
This is
article
a-
like the
That's right,
bond
that's
level.
right, that was a petition, yep, you're
Right.
right, that was a petition
Right, and it
article.
says that the commissioners don't have the authority to change it.
Okay,
So, no, we can't.
Which is now, this should be recognized by the legislative body that this isn't a good idea for a petitioned article to do this.
No, it's terrible.
Well, it is from our perspective. They have to see our perspective on this.
Yeah.
And they might see it with
They
this.
might say it because
'Cause
this is what we're going
The
through.
majority of people that commented on this said, that's crazy that this is a storage lot that we're paying for people's recreation trailers.
Right,
yeah,
right, it's,
And they voted it. They didn't realize that that's what they were getting when they voted this,
right.
because that's what happens.
okay.
The making of sausage, they call it. Legislation.
And the parking lot wants to be used in the wintertime for storms, because people can't get up to their houses.
Correct.
Which is a
That
legitimate
was
reason
the-
to leave.
Right,
it.
it's a
Right.
short-term, temporary
Yeah.
solution.
Right.
Overflow.
Overflow
Temporary
parking.
Overflow.
And some people bought property that doesn't meet their needs, which is they want a recreational equipment.
they don't have a
And they don't want it
driveway
on their
for it.
property. And they think that live free or die means that the taxpayers solve that problem for them. And we use the taxpayers' land to store boats and campers and.
Yeah, no more trailers, no more boats.
You don't like this at all.
Well, I'm just saying, okay, there's an ordinance, and but is there anything really that legally binds us to this?
Yes, the ordinance.
It's an ordinance.
Well,
The New Hampshire Constitution binds us to this.
Yes.
The oath that you took, that
Yes.
we took, binds
Yes,
us in an ugly way to this.
yes. Yes, and no one has the authority to override an ordinance. Period.
And yet it has been done. Okay.
There are many laws that aren't enforced everywhere.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Laws shouldn't be written that aren't enforced.
Right.
Or additional laws shouldn't be put on laws that aren't enforced. to
Right.
begin with.
Okay. So the bottom line is, the only way we correct this is we put our own warrant together with a brand-new ordinance to be voted.
We
Correct.
follow this to the letter,
Legislative body.
our agreed upon interpretation of these words
Right.
till we get to the annual meeting. We have a workshop where we pound this out as best we can, propose it to the legislative body, and we see if they vote for it, if they modify it on the floor. This time, we're not gonna let the moderators say that they can't modify the ordinance on the floor, like they did for the pond level. So they get to change whatever it is that we propose. This is debated in the wee hours of the morning.
Remember the trailer that was left there, Nancy, that cost the village thousands of dollars to get rid of?
Uh-huh.
Oh, you had to have it towed away?
Oh, yeah.
And you never found out who owned it?
It had been abandoned. They checked with owners. They never
No
came up with
serial numbers,
anything.
or the police couldn't
Yep,
assist
they
in
couldn't.
any of it?
Nope. Nope, the police came up and took it away but it
And
cost
sent
us
the
money.
bill.
Yep.
Wow, okay.
So, when do we do a workshop on this? In a busy schedule between now and voting season? Should we
So it
establish?
would have to be ready prior to the first budget hearing. So it will have to be ready by February.
January.
Because that's when we publish the warrant for the first time. It's not
Correct.
part of the budget hearing, because it doesn't have any money involved, right?
Oh, true.
Correct, but we'll be putting the warrant together, and that's the first review of the warrant.
So, should we focus on the date for the workshop we already talked about and see if we can squeeze some time in for this?
Yeah,
So when do you want to do a workshop so that we're ready for the December 7th, Saturday morning hearing on the budget proposal?
I thought the 7th was a workshop on the budget,
It's the
no,
meeting.
that's
with
the
public.
meeting. That's the public meeting.
pre-public meeting.
Saturday morning here.
Okay.
Right,
The special meeting.
right.
Yes. Which you can just tell us whether you want to go to that or not.
No, I do want to go to
Okay,
it.
Good.
so she'll be paid to go to that meeting. If that's okay with you.
Yeah.
Do we have to have new ordinances by this date?
No,
No,
No, I'm saying if we're gonna, we need to focus on whether we're gonna have a workshop so that we're ready for that meeting on the 7th, before the 7th. There
correct.
aren't a lot of days between now and the 7th now.
No.
no.
That's correct,
And-
so
And then we got Thanksgiving.
I almost want to keep them separate, but let me take a look at the calendar again.
Now, the workshop is a public hearing, correct?
It's not a public hearing,
It is
it's a
not.
public meeting.
Where we're
That
not
will
gonna
be
have
a
a regular
public
agenda.
meeting.
It's a meeting without an agenda other than to work on one specific thing. In this
Cor-
case, it's the budget proposal. The public can watch, but there's no public comments, there's no conversation about it with the public. We're focused on the work and they get to hear our conversation.
Okay.
That's what a workshop means. It's a regular commissioners meeting without their standard agenda. It's a special agenda just to work on specific issues.
All right, I got a
Okay.
suggestion, I'm not sure how popular this is gonna be, but if we're holding that, what are we calling the meeting on the 7th? That is the public,
Public meeting on the budget.
It's a special
on the
meeting, yeah.
Yeah,
but
special
for
Public
us to be
meeting.
prepared for that, we're having a meeting ahead of time. I'm gonna propose we do it on the day before, the Friday, the 6th, so that it's all fresh in our mind when we meet the public on Saturday, the 7th.
Okay, I don't know.
And
I can't comment on any
I'm
of
strictly
this.
talking budget here, I'm not talking,
Warrant articles?
well, yeah, I think the warrant articles, but not
Money warrant articles.
moneyed warrant.
Money.
Moneyed warrant articles.
Money warrant articles.
Right, ones that require funding, this doesn't require funding.
Correct.
Right, so, I don't know, we're talking about updating the driveway ordinance, now the parking ordinance. Any other ordinances that don't require money that we're thinking?
We may do things with the water ordinance,
Yeah, but
Yep.
that might involve money.
not raising money that I can think of, but it,
Oh, raising money. But fees,
right, that's different.
Right.
okay.
I mean, the 500-pound elephant in my mind is the budget. That sort of drives everything else. This is very important, but
But later I'm gonna propose that one of the things that we do is have a warrant article to ask the people if they wanna pay for a contractor to get the tree out of Little P, which I think is gonna be several $1,000s, things like that. I think that we may have a warrant article that says, here's what we want to do with the outhouses on the beaches. And there's going to be a number of warrant articles that are going to raise money.
Yeah.
And that's part of the financial picture on top of the budget itself. So do you want to just focus on the budget spreadsheet, the actual operating budget, only on the 7th?
Yes, because don't we have, what did we do? Remember last year, was it in February we held a meeting where we had the warrant articles with the monies proposed, I think.
Say again?
That was the budget hearing.
The budget hearing, yeah,
Yes.
Everything has to be prepared prior to the budget hearing.
right.
What we're trying to do is say, here's the big picture on everything. What do you want us to actually bring to the budget hearing in the beginning of February now? So they're not hearing it for the first time in February. And we're getting some feedback from them as to what they know that they don't want to hear in February. Like when they see the cost of everything, do they say, the outhouses, minimal cost, you know? You have to see everything to give you good feedback. We have to see everything.
We do, we do.
Right.
So the workshop's gonna be on everything.
Including the moneyed warrant articles, okay. Well, I think at that point, I don't see us having exact dollar figures, but we
No.
could probably come up with estimates.
At that point, in the 7th, we know what not to waste any time getting exact money on, because
Right.
we got the feedback. We don't want that one on the warrant.
Okay,
That's kind of the idea.
all right.
Of the.
Well, I'm
the
still
meeting
proposing that
itself.
for us to be prepared for that Saturday meeting, we do it on Friday. So that we're just not coming in cold on Saturday, we're prepared. I don't know how many people are gonna show up, but even if it's just one person, we need to be a little bit more organized. and
Friday the
prepared.
6th at what time? How much time are you gonna give this?
We should probably give it the entire morning.
So we start at 9, 10, 9? Earlier?
I'm gonna say 8.
My dog will be with me.
Mine too.
How are you with Friday at 8 a.m.?
I'm okay with 9 a.m. We could do just like a
How are you with
Yeah.
Friday? The
Well,
6th?
If we have to do it on that Friday, I guess we could. Normally I have plans on Fridays, but
Oh, that could change.
that could change. That could be swapped a day.
So this is a workshop
Yep.
we're talking about.
It'll be
Yes.
a posted meeting, commissioners meeting,
A commissioners meeting.
No
it's
agenda.
A workshop.
no agenda. The agenda is that we're gonna be working on the 2025 budget. People can come into the office, comments.
Did you need to have the budget or some kind of idea
We'll
of
need
the
the latest
budget?
version of the spreadsheet.
Okay, well,
Yeah,
And-
we'll have this one ready before that.
okay. If you say so, we'll do it.
Did you say you weren't gonna allow the audience to comment on the budget?
At the workshop.
Not at the workshop.
Okay, but at the special meeting.
We want their comment the
Oh, yeah.
next day.
I got them confused.
The whole
that's why I
purpose is to
didn't
get
think
their
so.
comments the next day.
Okay.
workshop is Friday, special meeting is Saturday.
So we'll be publishing handouts Friday to bring to Saturday's meeting.
What kind of handouts?
The spreadsheet.
Oh, yeah.
The
and warrant
spreadsheet,
articles.
That's not a big deal.
Yep. But we have to give time for that. So
What do
you're
you
not,
mean? What do you
well, we're gonna
say?
be working on it that Friday. We have to end in time for us to print this stuff out, staple it up, and have it as handouts for the next day. Which is before 4 o'clock, before you wanna go home on a Friday.
That's why we do it in the morning and
Yeah.
give ourselves
Yep.
a hard stop somewhere.
Yep. All right, I'll make a motion that we have a workshop on the 2025 budget at the office on Friday, December 6th. At what time?
9 a.m.
9.
you said.
9
9
a.m. Hank appreciates.
Okay.
That's the motion.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
An enthusiastic 3-0.
Well,
Yeah,
I think it's cutting it way too close.
so do I. I don't,
We don't have time
Miracle worker.
we don't have time to really look at anything that's gonna affect things if we're not looking at it until Friday morning for the meeting on Saturday.
How about this?
Okay,
How about this? We allot 20 minutes at the weekly meetings to discuss it, and we still have it Friday to pull it all together. So that we are looking at a budget, whenever you can get the budget spreadsheet updated, that it has at least through November 30th, the end of the month.
Oh, we won't have that by the 7th. That's
When?
not gonna happen. We won't even have received
So we need to work on that now.
right.
So we couldn't have the workshop until that happens anyway.
Yeah, I mean, next week is a total bust, and then the following week it runs right up to the 6th and the 7th.
So
Yeah.
So we established the 6th, a comfortable amount of time with the holiday season to have a version of the spreadsheet would be just before the 6th anyway. Maybe one meeting that week, the Tuesday commissioners meeting that week.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
can,
So that's the goal, to have the spreadsheet. We'll review that at least and list off the warrant articles that we could possibly put into the workshop on Friday. And then show up on Saturday like we have our act together.
there we go. That sounds like a better plan.
Ignore the people behind the curtain.
Yeah, so that'll be the meeting December, is that
third,
gonna be the 3rd?
Yeah.
We'll do some,
3rd, so, okay, so after we get all the normal business, we will devote
Yep.
to the.
Some time to
just the
it.
budget portion.
Yep.
The spreadsheet,
yep,
okay. And then we'll have the workshop
And-
on Friday, which will take the work we did on the spreadsheet, plus add warrant articles in,
yep.
moneyed warrant articles. And Saturday,
The show begins.
the show begins.
Yeah,
I'll do what I gotta do, I guess, but I can't just think that I know what needs to be done, cause I've never done this, so,
So you did the spreadsheet with Nancy.
yeah,
So we could do, that's not one of the things. You've done that once. We're gonna do it one more time.
correct.
This
And we'll
year.
probably do it again. Don't you
Yes.
think? Yeah,
Well, we'll do it. So yes, we're gonna have that for the Tuesday before. We're gonna have that for December 3rd.
yep,
we have to,
And you're saying that we may make changes to it, which is why we're looking at it.
right.
yeah,
And the changes happen before Friday the 6th.
that's right,
We may make changes to it that day
yeah.
and then publish it. We'll
And
go
then
with
publish
that.
it and get it ready.
And then that will change again.
So when you say publish it, what does that mean?
Handouts. For
Make handouts.
ceremony meeting.
Yeah, make
Well, that's-
15 or
Big deal.
20
Okay.
copies.
That's why we gave a start time, but I think we also have to give a dead stop time as well, so that there's still time for Jennifer to get that together, so for
Or for
Saturday,
the Friday meeting.
for the Saturday meeting. The Friday meeting, we're gonna start at 9. We should probably agree at some point, if we get up to that, that's it, we call it quits. But we should have the spreadsheet ready so that Jennifer can do what she needs to
Well
do.
before 4 on Friday.
There,
By noon, we should have the spreadsheet done, easily,
Yes.
Right.
easily.
But I'm just saying, she's got other work to do in addition to this. That's not, there's other stuff to do as well. So I don't want you running up against the wall.
Previously, the administrator was doing a whole lot of work on the budget with the commissioners not being involved,
right,
like all of it.
Yeah, and that's just not acceptable.
Right, I objected to that.
Yeah,
Right.
and
shame
met
on them.
Great opposition.
and I wouldn't wanna be in that position anyway.
No,
Right.
no. But in this case, you two have the experience, Jennifer and I do not, okay? So, yeah.
Well, you have a lot of experience now.
Okay, but nonetheless, not on this whole process, so,
Neither.
let's just
It's
do
not
it.
magic.
No, it's not magic, I agree. But
Okay.
yeah, let's agree to a 3-hour meeting and have that spreadsheet pretty well hammered out. So that Saturday, that is pretty well in the bag.
But then you're
For
talking about
presentation.
the warrant articles. All that's gotta be written up and,
Well,
Well, I started an initial,
could we just have a list
Go
with,
around.
with estimates? And the idea, as Mark said, was to try and, if anybody in the public is here, to try and field what will, there's no interest in, others that do have interest.
right, but you gotta still present it, you gotta still
right,
put it on something to present.
Yeah, but the formal wording, I don't think needs to be written up. You could say, we want to do security cameras and at 5 locations, and each of these security cameras cost $150 each. All right, so and that's going to
169.
cost what? $169. So 169 times. Now I'll make it 10. 10 security cameras, 169, $1,699. So something like that. It could be as simple as that.
Yes.
I think for Saturday's meeting.
And you get some questions,
Yeah,
and then
which
we'll help us
means it
word
has
it
to
as we
also
get.
be worked up at least on Friday.
Yep. We have to have the list and dollar amounts, at least, on Friday.
But
So
there is
it's
formal
just not gonna
wording.
come off the top of my head.
no, this isn't gonna be on you.
None of it's
No,
gonna
this
This is
come out.
gonna be on us.
This isn't on you.
We have to have the numbers for this. Like, I have to get a hold of Sean and Barry of the cost of getting the tree out of the pond. And I'd like to get a cost of what it would be to have a cement floor put in Muddy Beach. Things like that.
Yep.
And some number for the outhouses. That's a lot of
What,
work.
to get rid of them or?
To modify them.
Yeah, well, yeah, well.
Some of
Plus
it we
hot
wanna
well,
do, and it's just
plus-
not gonna make it.
Right,
Those are all ideas that was brought up at the first meeting.
Mhm.
so. I'm gonna sign the check.
All right,
Okay.
this- all right?
Yep, I'm good with the schedule as proposed, that should work.
Okay.
Nancy second, 300, right, for the proposed budget.
For the Friday the 6th at 9 AM?
Yep, at the office.
Yep.
yes.
Do we need a vote on the, no, on the spreadsheet? For December 3rd, we just make a note of that, that's our goal?
Right,
Yeah, that we have the most current spreadsheet up through that point.
Yep,
And that's just a matter of taking the most recent expenditures and updating it?
yeah.
yes. Yes, we'll bring it from
Which
Yeah.
is- which is-
wherever we started to whatever date we get to work on it.
But didn't you say that too, that the workshop would include what we're proposing? Like we would come up with numbers of what you're proposing for the budget for
we wouldn't-
2025?
Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah,
what we're,
yeah,
that's what
okay,
we're gonna be
All right,
doing.
good, okay,
Right.
Yeah,
all right.
That goes pretty quickly, actually, going line item through line
It does,
item.
that goes pretty quickly.
That's good.
And
That's
at
where
that
you-
point, we only have 1 month left of actual expenses to incur.
That's right.
You can just annualize that stuff, and it's close enough for government work.
It is government work.
okay.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah, and we don't actually do it that way, but it's okay.
Right.
It'll be close enough,
It'll be the best that can be done.
right, for that date.
All right, so we were at the highway parking lot ordinance. We were just looking for a workshop to do that.
Correct.
We got into the budget ordinance. Did we establish the workshop for the highway ordinance? After the 7th?
After the 7th.
After the 7th, yeah, we're gonna need to decompress for a while, but let's see.
Well, you don't want to escape
Okay, what are we
Christmas on this
talking about now? I'm
I'd say
sorry.
let's try and do it before the Christmas holidays.
Okay, so mid-December,
What is this for?
workshop for the
Parking
highway,
ordinance.
for the parking lot ordinance.
Oh, the hut well, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, to
Oh.
reword and properly set up the,
And you wanted to be involved in that too,
Yep.
I
Dinah?
get a uniform.
what's it called
Yeah.
now? It's not really in parking, it's really the road
It's the highway ordinance.
highway ordinance.
It's called the highway ordinance,
Right.
yeah.
There's other things we have to fix too, is that we have to talk to the chief about whether he agrees with previous chiefs that the speed limit in Idleways is 25 on Idleways Drive.
Right.
Because this not only says it's 20 everywhere, it also says at the end, this is something this same petitioner seems to think is that they can put in statements of raising taxation. In this case, it was the unassigned fund balance. At the end of this, it says that $200 can be spent changing the signs, adding signs and changing signs. As if to say, the 25 mile an hour speed limit signs on Idleways Drive should get changed to 20 miles an hour, and they didn't. They're still 25.
That,
By the way, the highway department thinks that that car hit that tree on Idleways Drive at 50.
What?
yeah,
Jesus.
I actually had left that annual meeting before we got to the parking lot thing.
Oh.
But if that ordinance raises money, and that money was not discussed during the budget hearings,
It's not,
that's not a proper warrant article.
no.
Same with the pond level. It raised money in the ordinance itself, which
Yeah, and if
the
it,
moderator
part
should
of
have
the
questioned
budget?
they
that.
should have questioned it
The
because,
attorney should have questioned it, but I don't think the attorney got to see it.
yeah,
7.1, the village will allocate $200 to be paid from the unassigned fund balance towards new road and pocket signage as needed.
yeah, that has to be discussed at the budget hearings, anything that's gonna raise money, so.
It shouldn't
that-
be in the
it-
ordinances.
It should not be in the
That
ordinance,
should be separate.
correct,
What money needs to be raised for the parking lot?
to change the signs.
For the streets,
Or
street
add
signs.
signs,
Streets-
whatever.
They changed the
Speed
speed
limit
limit
signs.
signs. They changed the
Oh,
speed
yeah,
limits
right.
and they're saying you gotta change the signs.
Oh, it's nothing to do with the parking lot though.
It could be, they have signs up saying,
Right, parking here, not parking
do the
during
signs
this
that are out there
time.
now match this ordinance?
Right,
Geneva Place sign is gone too, I just wanted
I think there are a few signs that are missing. We
Yeah.
talked
I
about.
know.
Anyway, let's focus here a little
to.
bit.
Right.
Focus.
But also stuff like about
Um,
what parking on the street is allowed as well, right? We can.
There
Right,
is
it
no
says
parking.
November 1st, there's no more parking in the street.
correct, there is no parking in the street once November 1st hits.
Through
Well,
April.
that makes sense because of plowing.
Oh,
But
Right.
but what if we want to change that all year round? I don't know.
No, it's just, well,
I'm just bringing that up.
Oh, so that's something that's within our authority.
Right. Do we own the streets?
They just need to sign that.
yeah.
And I can.
Huh?
I can-
Oh, he said that if we wanted to
Okay,
change
fine.
the
If they sign
Prohibit
all
parking
the-
on the
highway
Okay.
ordinance to say that there's no parking on the streets ever. Right now, it's limited from November
November,
1st to April
right.
1st.
We can't change it without the legislative body changing it.
Correct.
Correct.
Right now, yes.
Yes.
But then you start getting into finer nuances like, well, there's gonna be work vehicles that have to park on the street to do the work that they're doing. Both,
Well,
whether it's
the-
like utility work, but it could be, work on people's new houses to
Right.
dig the trenches. I mean,
Yeah.
you can get into a lot of nuances there, but I'm talking basically your basic Joe Six-Pack car. You can't
This
park.
doesn't say that construction vehicles can park after November 1st.
That's true,
Correct.
it doesn't. We know that this needs a lot of massaging, but
What's the date that we're having a workshop on this?
we have not determined that yet, so
No.
let's do
Focus there,
that. Yeah,
back
so
on
we can just worry about it then. I'm gonna say, let's do it before the next set of holidays grab hold of us. So if we're doing the budget, that's the 7th.
This is strictly for the parking, I mean, the
Well, the highway ordinance.
highway ordinance.
Let's definitely do it before the winter solstice, which is Saturday, the 21st of December.
Tuesday afternoon, the 17th? Continue the meeting.
Yeah,
Sure.
Is this-
Make a motion that we recess the Tuesday 17th meeting here at Town Hall.
There
Recess
is no
to-
Tuesday, December 17th. This room here is gonna be occupied that full day.
Okay?
So on here, I've proposed that the commissioners' meeting get moved to Wednesday, December 18th.
Okay, so then we do the,
Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday the 18th then.
Yeah.
Thank you. We adjourn the Wednesday meeting and resume at the office in a workshop mode.
At the office?
Yep.
Okay.
18th.
That way we have
Workshop.
all the office resources to answer any questions that we come up
All right,
with,
great.
computers and stuff.
Okay, excellent.
That's a motion, needs a second.
Oh,
Second.
okay.
Further discussion on that workshop on the 18th?
Nope.
All in
Okay.
favor?
Aye.
3-0.
I'm calling it the Highway Ordinance Workshop.
Yep,
That's fine.
Thank you.
that's what it is.
Which includes something else.
The Highway Hutwell
Um,
ordinance.
It's the highway and parking ordinance.
Yeah, okay,
It is
great.
the name of it,
Highway
Really,
and parking.
it is the
Thank
highway
you.
and parking,
Yep.
which includes Hutwell. But
And all the, it
includes all the other roads
parking
too.
lots too.
That's
In the
Yep.
ordinance.
Yep.
So
Yeah, you got
I,
Edelweiss and,
It's in there. It specifically says, these are things you can do in Hutwell and these are things you can't do everywhere else.
right.
You can't do what you do in Hutwell. It's by itself. So anyway, we need to move on from that to.
Well, I'd like to talk, I looked a little bit more into the budget hearing dates.
Uh-huh.
So, I figured that if we're gonna have the first hearing, we should do it, like the first week of February, the 3rd or 4th. It gets posted January 24th or 27th.
So we should nail
because
down a
if
date
we-
for that right now?
If you wanted to, because if we needed to do another hearing,
It's 1 week later.
well, you have to post it, yeah. Well,
So
yeah.
we're talking,
So when are you saying everything has to be posted?
Everything, well, for the hearing is posted January 24th or 27th, whatever those dates fall on.
24th is a Friday,
Friday,
27th is a
27th is
Yeah.
Monday.
Yeah,
And
for the hearing, now do the hearings go on does it occur on a weekend?
Friday
Like
night.
Friday night.
Okay,
so that would be February 7th.
Yeah, let's do it the 7th.
all right.
And the backup date is the 14th if we need a second hearing.
Okay, you have to post it a week prior to the date,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
So would it actually be posted the same day? On February 7th, that we're having another hearing?
No.
No, the
On
one,
January 31st, Friday, January 31st, there should be a posting saying, the budget hearing is set for
The 7th.
the 7th. And the day,
Oh,
should it be
gotcha.
necessary, the posting says, should it be necessary,
Yeah,
there'll be a second hearing on the 14th.
14th.
Valentine's Day.
It's really an alternate or needed second.
all right.
And this is why you
Okay.
need a second one.
Yeah, no, that's
We
great.
propose a warrant and we post it.
Yeah,
If at the hearing, we hear things that have us significantly change any piece of it,
yes,
that's the thing that forces it into a second hearing.
gotcha.
Because they need to see how we changed it,
Right.
All right,
and they need to give us feedback on that by law. It very rarely happens, but it happens.
Okay.
so what do you think?
Yeah,
Those are the dates.
that's
Yep.
it, February
Beautiful.
7th.
You post on the 31st.
Yep.
We have to have the warrant by the 31st. First hearing is on the 7th. The second one, if necessary, is on the 14th.
Yep,
And that's the way it gets posted.
all right, and that'll certainly meet the criteria.
Should that be a motion to hit those dates?
I don't know, does it really need to be? Because.
I think the commissioners
And
need
yes.
to.
Because it's fall.
Okay.
I make a motion that we post the 2025 warrant and post the hearing on this January 31st
Mm-hmm,
for a February 7th budget hearing at 7 o'clock.
7
6,
p.m.
I thought it was 6 PM.
We can make it, that's why I asked it as a question. 6 works for me, 6
Yeah,
p.m.
6 p.m.
Yeah, 6
on
p.m.
Friday the 7th
Yeah,
here at Town Hall.
okay,
And we should get those dates locked down.
I will.
And if necessary, we'll have a second hearing on the 14th at 6 o'clock here.
Okay, what about Madison TV?
Of course they're
Are they part of
invited,
that?
Yes.
Yep. That's a motion, needs a second
Second.
discussion?
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
3-0 on that.
Okay, great.
And we have the date of the meeting, and
We
we
do.
need to secure that with the school system.
I did.
That's been done.
Great.
Okay, thank you.
I'll set on, we're set with
Old table items, that's it.
the highway and parking ordinance. We're moving on to committee for electric rates.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out that, yes, I've submitted, you know, for some action or proposals to be done, and I'm waiting on responses on that. He
From
gets-
the broker.
From the broker, yeah. He was very happy that he reached out. He thought that we were like disbanded, like the whole, I know,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, he might have got that from somebody that resigned from their position,
Oh, I gotcha,
Quite possible.
who very rarely made any sense.
okay.
Quite possible.
So I'm hoping to get that soon.
In the meantime, should we ask if Eversource has a lower rate than the broker's fee that we're paying now? Should we tell Eversource we want to switch to Eversource's lower price? Because I believe this broker's price may be higher than
I think it
Eversource.
is.
No kidding, really?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Does that happen
Oh,
commonly?
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it actually happens commonly, that
Okay.
people will get,
We had an agreement with them through June.
Yes,
And I don't know whether after June, the broker decided to bump it up because they
well,
didn't
he
hear from
gave
us.
the rates and, oh, maybe.
Because I think you
I
were
thought
pointing
it
out
was
that
good for a
that's
year.
possible that they do that. So could you
Interesting.
contact Eversource and ask them what
Right.
the rate is, and then if it's lower, say we want to switch that now.
Okay, so,
Even if this guy comes up with a lower rate,
all right, gotcha. That
right?
makes
Yeah.
sense, completely.
In case he doesn't.
Well, yeah, well.
Then I
either
have
way.
more to say right now, which was going to be part of my commissioner's report on this committee.
Oh, yeah.
Well, all set with that then? Do we need a vote for, or Jennifer
No.
just does that?
No,
Yeah.
we did, it. we talked about it last time.
right.
And, yeah, that was, yeah.
So just by coincidence, the town of Conway has a story in the newspaper about citizens going to the selectmen's meeting and asking the selectmen to pursue the coalition. And I took a look at Tamworth's webpage, and they have a whole section on them signing up for the coalition. We talked about us contacting them.
Right.
And I think if the town of Conway goes for it, should we say that they probably gave it to their attorney to review the contract and it's okay to sign these contracts? Or do we need to spend money and pay a law firm again to tell us whether there's a problem with us signing this coalition contract?
I've reached out to that contact as well that I found for the coalition, whatever that was, but I haven't heard anything back.
And I would think if Conway's going forward, it's been reviewed.
Oh,
I think
see.
every municipality, there are cities that have signed up for this.
Right. Right.
So I don't know what it was that was happening with why we paid a couple of $100 to ask
Have
a
it
question,
reviewed,
not even
yeah.
listen to the answer. And through
Yeah.
this, it was kind of a way of stopping this.
It's quite possible
And it
that it
did.
was just
way
a
to
way
stop
to
it?
slow it down. You know, they
Really?
yeah,
And it did.
yeah, they weren't happy with the person that was proposing it.
And there seemed to be some unique relationship with the broker.
Yes,
The way that
Okay,
he was talked about in glowing terms.
yes,
So
Oh.
anyway,
okay, yep.
yes, and that was real.
So should I keep pursuing this person,
well,
or,
what were you going to ask them?
well, if an application can be entertained?
I'm happy that you seem interested in this, which is good. Because the more you're interested in it, the more involvement you want with it, the better.
Well, yeah, it's understanding it too.
Yes,
It's,
right.
because I was battling
It's
with
kind
it
of
for a
cool,
while.
the way that it came about. The agreement, I looked at, I wish I could bring it up on mine. The agreement that Tamworth proposed to their residents at the annual meeting quotes the New Hampshire Constitution, which has an interesting clause in it about monopolies, which I'll bring to the next meeting. It cites the Constitution of New Hampshire, saying the New Hampshire Constitution protects its citizens against monopolies, which is part of the basis of the law that allowed these coalitions to form. It was so the citizens only had one source of power,
Right.
which already was in effect because of the brokers and so forth. But
Right.
that was something they quoted. So, I was thinking if there were certain people in the village that would be interested in forming the three-person committee and start to grok to understand everything involved here. And we didn't bring it up at the special meeting of interests that we had,
No.
because we asked them to propose it, and we didn't propose anything.
I see.
But I would like to reach out to a few people and ask them if they'd be willing to participate in a committee of three that has a beginning date and an end date. It ends with the vote. It's not like they're signing up for something like the Water Advisory Committee that goes on for ever and takes twists and turns and so forth. This is a finite project that has to happen before the annual meeting, which is
Right
has
around
to
the
be in the
corner.
warrant for February. So if there's no objection, I don't need a vote, I will see whether there's interest in people. And then come back next week and tell you what I was able to get done.
Okay.
Because I think this rate is still gonna be lower than Eversource and the broker at 8.6, I think it is.
Yeah.
Wow, cool.
So, just so I understand this is totally new to me. This is, let's say, we become part of this coalition. This is basically for residents to buy into, to get their their personal electricity from.
It's
They
for-
have options.
at a
It's for
rate.
us.
It's an option, or is it for the?
The village can buy power at a lower rate. There's even different ways of buying it.
Yeah,
You can spend more money per kilowatt hour based on the cleanliness of the production of the electricity. The lowest rate comes from the dirtiest suppliers.
okay.
Whatever that means.
And oil.
Fuel.
Coal.
Yeah.
Coal, oil.
Coal.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
You
Wow.
spend more money if you want nuclear or
Water or
gas
Wind,
or
yeah.
wind, yes.
Yeah, right?
There's also, the coalition also has some things that I need to understand more about, but there are programs you can enter if you wanted to invest in wind yourself and panels, things like that. So it's not just purchasing, it's not just the purchasing power of all of the members of the coalition,
Right,
which is a big body of people when you start counting Nashua as part of the group that you're buying with,
yeah.
which is how they go out to the market and negotiate lower prices than
Yeah.
the broker's gonna give you. Because the profit motive isn't even in there, is my understanding.
Okay.
There's a lot
So I'll
to
give you
it.
pieces to read so that it's not just throwing this whole big thing
Yeah,
at you at
this-
once.
It's-
Yeah, I need
there's a lot
to
to it.
understand.
We'll discuss little pieces of it each
Okay.
week.
Right.
And we'll see if we can pull this committee together.
Right.
Because I don't believe the committee can be us.
It can't. You said that.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so I'll work on that and I'll come back next week and maybe even have a motion to make. We covered the 2025 budget workshop.
Workshop,
Yep.
yep.
So at 10:51, we'll move to signature items. And the first one is money transfer, New Hampshire Treasury payment from the water project to a water assessment.
Yep.
Need a motion for that?
Well, signature, however you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's make a motion for your record.
Yep.
Make a motion that we sign a money transfer request to move $7,200 from the Bank of New Hampshire Water Project 2020 account, number 8512,
That's an account number.
okay? Ending in 3199. To account, the Village District of Idlewild account, Northway account, ending in 6197.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
3-0.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is a TTF Capital Reserve Fund requested money transfer, water hookup, expense money reimbursement to water assessment fund.
Yep.
In the amount of,
7,233 and, whoops, 60 cents. I kind of messed up on that, but I put more zeros than I needed. And there's 2 different forms that need signed.
but the dollar amount's the same for the.
It should be.
I'll make a motion that we approve a transfer request from the Water Line Extension Fund to the Northway Water Assessment Fund of $7,233.60. Second?
Okay, start over.
Yep.
Because you just crossed and swapped to water assessment in the middle of that motion.
It gets moved to water assessment. Well, we get a check that we deposited.
You want me to say my motion again?
Yes, please.
I'll make a motion that we approve a transfer of money of $7,233.60 from the Water Line Extension Capital Reserve Fund to
Yeah.
the Northway Water Assessment Fund.
Thank you. Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
3-0. The offer letter for a DPW position.
Yes. And I did send the draft, because I need you guys to
Yep.
look at it. Okay. So there are 2 forms there that need signatures.
What was the conclusion on the physical?
I don't know, I didn't get any response.
I responded,
I know you did, but that's all I got.
okay.
So I
Did
left
you
it in
decide to
there.
leave it in there?
It's in there.
Okay. So do you remember whether we required physicals of the DPW people? I seem to remember in the past that we did. Did that ring a bell with you?
Yeah, I think so.
It's in the letter, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how we go about doing it.
In his first week, we sent him to Saco River.
So do I call Saco to arrange an
Yep.
appointment?
Yeah, we pay for it.
Yep,
And
and
we
then we
pay
pay
for
for it.
Gotcha. Thank you.
So we met with the candidate yesterday. You caught all that?
Yep.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion that we sign this offer letter to Steve LeBrecq.
There were 2.
I made a motion to sign the offer letter.
Yep.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I didn't sign the second one, no. 3-0.
Yep.
Thirteen Thusis Road, permit for construction.
Yep.
I'll make a motion that we approve the permit for construction on 13 Thusis Road. For discussion?
Second.
Any discussion on this?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
3-0. I remember one more thing that we should have looked at on Saturday. And that was the new house on Appinville Way. There was the modular that was put
Uh-huh.
in, that had the 2 driveways.
Yes, and then changed it to 1.
Yes, and they were working on it last week. The driveway, if you're walking around, why don't you look at that driveway, or else we go there all together. Off the top of your head, do you know where that is in the review cycle? Have they requested a final permit to
What, to let
operate?
us know that they're done?
To operate? Did we give them an operation permit?
I would have to
Look it up.
Look at
look
the-
it up,
the-
yeah.
Let's look that up.
Just the new construction where all that gravel got torn up and put down?
What's the address again?
I don't know the number, but I think it's in the 30s.
Yeah, 36 or something like that.
Anyway, let's check that out. Doesn't have to happen, it's not happening today. So then we go to commissioners' reports at 10:57. We'll start with mine. So last week, I had a FEMA meeting and you saw that I formally took back our request for consideration of mitigation for the hammering of the ledge.
Right.
Because that would hold it up and we don't have a way of getting good numbers to them in time.
Right.
They gave an estimate of how much it would be to line the road ditches with
Riprap.
6-inch riprap. And it was 66,000 in materials and 350,000 in construction labor. And they're going ahead to see if they can get a mitigation approved for that. The big thing is that I signed requests for waivers months ago, and the discussion I had with them Thursday was, I brought up that I see that the dates haven't changed on when this stuff had to be done. We can't possibly get it done during the winter, any of it. And the dates end in like February of next year, and I said, so you know this doesn't work? And they said, yes, well, you need waivers. And I said,
You did them.
what about the waivers I already had, we talked about? So I have to get back to them. And I may have to do new waivers if that's what their conclusion is. It would be terrible if the whole thing was for naught because time expired.
Well, you think they'd tell
Right.
you.
Well, yeah, meeting with 5 of them every week,
You
all
think
this
they'd tell
time
you
and
Yeah.
what's coming up.
not
Yeah.
have this covered, but this is the way the conversation's going, so
Okay.
that's the thing I need to find out this week. Bottom feeder called me back yesterday from Meredith. Greg, quite a conversation, good guy, pretty funny. One of the things he said, just to give you an idea, is that he hired a guy that could drive the truck that had a CDL. And he says, I didn't talk to him about, he started his first day and said, you know, we never talked about what the dollar per hour was here. And the guy says, I want 35. He says, I can't do that. He said, see you later. So he's operating this company by himself because he can't find a CDL driver. He said, hey, we're up against that too, and I know that the surrounding towns are up against that, the contractors are up against that, so everywhere you go, you need to find a CDL driver. He said he had been here to Edelweiss more than once. He was here 4 years ago, and he was going to tell me the same thing he said 4 years ago, and maybe he came back. He said, you can't pump that out. He said, even if you could get it out of there, who's going to take it? It's not like you're pumping septic
Right.
and bringing it to a treatment facility like the rest of it. He said either you take an excavator and rip those things out and start all over again, or you seal them off and put the porta potties into the buildings if you don't want to see blue plastic porta potties on your beaches and you want that nostalgic wooden batten outhouse look. So he says, I think they use some kind of hydraulic cement and seal them off, and then if you need to do some reconstruction of them so they can get the porta potties in and out. So I think a solution of rebuilding them would be very expensive and very messy, and I don't have an answer as to where we would get. We'd need somebody like Clean Harbors to take away that waste at probably huge expense, because it probably has to be processed somehow. They just can't bring it anywhere.
It's hazard.
So I'm leaning towards proposing a warrant article, if we can, that seals the outhouses off and we modify it, committing to renting porta potties forever.
But that would fit inside the existing structures?
We'd have to talk to the company that we use as to what they need to be able to
Fit,
have the machine go in and grab the porta potty, bring it out, because that's what they think they do. I don't know how they service it.
they bring new porta potties in.
Yeah, I wondered.
They take the
switch
old
them in
ones
and out.
and they do.
Oh.
They're not processing them on site, they're switching them out.
Yeah, and they clean them.
So it has to be an easy thing to do. And I think right now, I think all the porta potties, all of the outhouses are set up where that's not a problem for a truck to back up to them.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe,
Yes.
Deuces.
yes, Deuces, you can't, well, he placed them there. So
Right.
I don't know what the machine does, whether it goes around a corner or not. If he's switching them out every week, I don't know if a building is gonna mess him up.
I don't see why
The
it
building,
won't.
the building can't stay, the building we have, that has to be
They could be
sealed, and we
pumping
have to
them
build a
too,
new
yeah.
building in the parking lot.
Yeah.
So that's the answer to that, it's not driving out onto the beach. That's the point there. So Thus is the one that needs the most work.
I see.
And I don't know if we want a solution for Porridge Shore, where they're not looking at a blue porta potty there either, but they're looking at a new board and batten brown building with the porta potties inside.
Well, I guess my first question is, it sounds like it's a more involved process to insert the porta potties inside an existing structure and then pull them out every time you have to clean them and service them, then put them back in,
Yeah.
compared to, I don't know what they did last time. Did they just clean the one, or did they swap them out with
I
new
think
ones?
it all depends, but I think they do pump them too. I do think
So,
they sticks.
Let me do this,
down
let me
there.
say, we're not gonna solve it here right now.
Right.
Okay.
I'm talking about general direction. In the meantime, if there's no major objection to the direction that we're heading towards for a warrant article, I will contact Clean, is the name of the company, Clean Restrooms, that we
Yeah,
contracted
yeah.
with,
Yeah,
and say, you must be doing this somewhere else. Tell me what we need to do
yeah,
to enclose these things. If possible, in
To
our
fit
existing
them in.
buildings, or what
Yeah.
we need to do to modify our buildings. Raise the roof, change the size of the doors.
yeah.
If you hate the idea, tell me now so I don't.
No,
work on it.
I don't hate the idea. I just want to go back to the original. The bottom feeder guy was telling you that there was no way of cleaning out those pits.
Correct. They can't be done.
He
Can't
said
be
he does the Forest Service, U.S. Forest Service, like Thomas Gunn told us the day of
Yep.
our special
Mhm.
meeting. He said even the Forest Service has done this to stations that they have that have gone too far. That people
Sealed
did
them
put
up?
stuff down there
Yep.
that they shouldn't have, and they sealed those off. He said some of them we're still pumping like the old days, but some of them are sealed now.
That's because it was a combination of trash and human waste that
Just
went down there.
so much debris.
Bags that have cans and pizza boxes and plastic things inside,
Used as
jugs,
garbage.
Okay.
as well as septic,
Yeah.
mixed, old.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, no, I have no objection. Let's see what if that can be something that can be done.
Yeah, and see whether or not, what really, I guess it would be like you said, the door entrance,
Yeah.
so that they could put it in,
measurements,
you know,
yeah.
so that they could put it in. We would have to take the current commodes out, and that would probably happen when we sealed the,
So this is what happens, we're gonna budget for Clean Restrooms, the name of the company,
Mm-hmm.
for next year for sure.
Yeah.
And we'll have a warrant article where we propose a budget, and if the budget gets approved, then we start working on the board and batten housing, we'll call them. The porta in-houses or outhouses, we'll come up with a good name for that project. Then we spend next year trying to implement that. So the solution isn't in place for the summer of 2025.
No, because the pits
It'll
have to
look
be.
the same as it did in 2024 through 2025.
Yes.
Sometime in the end of 2026, it starts to look different.
So, just from an operator's point of view, so you'd be opening the door to the board and batten, and then opening another door to a standard
Porta
porta potty?
I thought of that.
Is that how that works?
The other option is, there's the one door, and I think the porta potty company would answer that question for me as to how
Right.
they're doing it elsewhere.
Yeah.
What their recommendation is.
Okay.
I'm sure they have an answer for it, because based on what he was saying, the Forestry Service isn't the only one doing this.
Right. Right, yeah, so they
The
would be
US
able,
Forest Service.
they would be able to tell you the door dimensions to get the unit inside, the height requirements
Yeah.
for the unit, you know?
I was thinking, well, what it's talking about is somebody with a little kid trying to get him in there. One door is spring loaded to
And then
shut, and the
another
other
door,
door and
yeah.
trying to get the kid in there. Yeah, we need.
Yeah, that would not be so good.
Or
One
maybe-
door has to, one door can't be there.
I'm sure they
Either you're walking
accommodate for
up to the
this.
front of it and seeing them, or you're not.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a door,
Right.
Or the
Sure,
door of
it's
the porta potty's
removable.
not on there.
right?
Which they may not like because they're switching them out. Now what are they putting the doors on and off as it goes to another location? You know?
Or the door to the wooden
Man.
batten one stays off. So you still see them,
Right.
but they're enclosed in a,
Yes,
you're only seeing them if you're
Let's not
standing
solve
in
it
front.
now, let me
Right.
find out.
All right, I'm
Yeah.
just, you know,
Right.
visualizing this, okay.
So what I'm hearing is pursue this and see what I can come back with
Well,
next
Yeah,
week.
Okay, yeah.
Muddy Beach. I'd like to start educating the people as to what Muddy Beach looks like as far as the concrete floor, the humidifier, the tank, and
you're talking about the pump house?
Pump house, yeah.
Muddy Beach Pump House. As far as, I'd like to get a price on what it would cost to get a cement floor in there. Start to take some action in improving that site for the day that we may have to be told that we have to put in uranium treatment. There has been a discussion on social media. One person asked, why don't we just go ahead and start treating for uranium? Why do we wait for the state to tell us that we've crossed some testing threshold that
Yeah.
they're requiring it? And it's because we just can't do it right away anyway. We have to put a cement floor in, we have to look at the electrical requirements for additional equipment in there. We have to see whether we should change the tank at this time because the tank is an unknown.
right.
To spend all the money to get it to be a uranium treatment plant and then find out we have to modify that investment,
Or take the entire thing apart to get into the tank or something.
whether we say, geez, we should have changed the tank out
Right,
before we
Yeah,
did all
Seems
this.
to me that's what I think we need to do first, it's like to put a new tank in, but that's.
So was this already a proposed warrant article?
it's on my list.
It's on the list, yeah.
It wasn't detailed of all these pieces that we're talking about.
Correct.
We just had a placeholder for Muddy Beach.
Yeah, we.
And then
we talked
it's a
about
matter of how do we pay for it, whatever we decide to do.
it. Yeah.
Right,
This doesn't necessarily come out of taxes, this is.
No, because I think we got some money in the tank, capital reserve fund. I don't know, I gotta take a look what they are, but. Right?
Then it's a matter of whether we ask Nick for his opinion on how to go about this with the tank and the humidifier and the floor and the uranium. And it has a communications problem too,
Oh,
Muddy Beach.
Yeah.
oh jeez.
Because of its
The only thing that's
location.
going is the roof doesn't leak.
Are
Yeah.
we using Muddy Beach right now?
Yes. Yep.
Wonder it hasn't gone dry, why?
Oh my god.
Well, there's an
Lots of
idea
rain.
that the uranium levels go up and down with drought. And one of the wells is reporting crossing over the line and there's a drought. There's a dryness. I don't think we're officially in a drought here.
We got plenty of water, people. It's our backup well. Didn't mean to scare anybody.
Yeah, that's the thing is that all this water's getting mixed with DPW.
Yes.
But anyway, we want to work on Muddy Beach.
Yep.
So what did we resolve on that?
On the Muddy Beach?
I'll get prices on the concrete floor, so we start getting some kind of numbers. Contact the floor.
Should we maybe talk to Nick first?
do you wanna do that, or do you want me to do that?
Yeah, if you want to do it, fine.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Concrete floor?
Yep.
Just to get a number.
Yep,
In the parallel, we can ask Nick whether we put the floor in or whether we change the order that we do things. Getting a price on a tank will take longer than the floor.
And Nick can help us out with the floor, or is this separate?
I don't necessarily think Nick would be
He
involved so
wouldn't be
much
involved in
in
getting the
the,
floor in there. He would tell us whether he thinks that
Yeah.
we should solve these other problems
Okay.
before we
Oh,
put the floor
right.
in.
All right,
Namely, would it be a mistake to put the floor in and then have the floor damaged by what it would, the risk of
Getting
taking the tank out, which is
remediation.
taking the whole back wall out?
yeah,
That's my
right.
concern.
Which, I think when we talked about this.
Have you seen this?
before-
Have you seen
No.
Mighty Beach? Oh, it's exciting. You should come see it sometime.
It's like putting in a new water main when you just repaved the road.
Yes,
It's like, let's do it
exactly.
in the right order.
Last week, we discussed putting snow guards on DPW2 garage on the side door to keep the snow from falling on the guys. And we ordered the snow guards
They came in,
in the screws.
yeah,
We haven't got the ladder yet.
nope,
I think we should get the adhesive. I would like to look at, I haven't looked at the way the screws are in the roof. I was thinking later that we probably should have got the adhesive. And I'm gonna ask, we may order adhesive after I take a look at the roof on my way home to see whether we should use it or not. I don't know if we can get a local person to actually install these things. We're gonna put 20 of them up there. You don't know what they look like yet. These guys saw the pictures of them. But we're gonna try to get that up before the snow comes, so these guys don't get hurt. I'm talking about a couple of tubes of adhesive, we'll just, what was an ambulance?
Yes.
If we need to buy the adhesive, we don't need to vote for that. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
no,
right.
All right, and if I find somebody that will put them on for us, I'll come back for a vote on
Okay.
hiring.
Okay.
The last thing is, I spent an hour and a half on a web conference with the National Weather Service for certification as a weather spotter, which I did in 1999 after the ice storm. And it's much more elaborate training now. And if you're interested in seeing it, I think they might send the deck if you have an hour and a half to spend looking at how they use radar to predict weather. And that's it. That's what I have this week. You're away. I don't know if you have anything you'd like to discuss.
Yeah, I just want to bring
I have
up,
one more thing.
yes,
I forgot, we also looked at Upper Lakeview and the cabin that you saw,
the Biddy Boo, yeah.
yeah, that has been
Removed.
taken apart.
Oh.
Only the roof structure is lying on the platform. And if there was an outhouse, that doesn't seem to be there now.
No, I think that was a chemical toilet in a building,
The building's not there.
yeah. It was just a small closet-like structure.
Was it all prefabbed?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
They must have hauled that away.
yeah.
There are signs now down around the site, not at the edge of the property, but
at the road.
down around where those buildings were, there's posted
Oh.
no trespassing now.
Right,
Oh.
right.
So you don't know that until you're actually on where, walking in to the actual building site.
Yes, I saw that. It was in and among where those structures were.
So if
Oh.
you need another hiking goal, then you can go look at this again. But the platform's there's still pieces there, but it's
Yeah.
not a living
Structures,
building
yeah.
I'm sorry, so now you can do your report.
Okay. No, I just want to bring up, before I left town, I was talking to one of my neighbors who is not a full-time resident of VDOE, but she came up here for a week to do work because she couldn't stand where she lives full-time because of the incredible fires that is happening. She lives north of Boston. And, these dry conditions are creating all sorts of brush fires, a lot of problems down there. And when I was driving up from Boston last night, when I got off of US 1 onto 95, it hit me right away, the smell. The smell was incredible. And it didn't even dissipate. I mean, I drove miles and miles before the smell finally dissipated. And of course, we all know that there was a brush fire on Oak Ridge. So this is really just a public service announcement. We are in dry conditions. I don't know if a formal fire threat level has been established. You know, some places have those signs.
It's
In
high.
front of the
Yeah.
fire
It's
station.
high and it's right in front of
It's
the,
high
Okay,
everywhere.
so it's right there. So it's
Very
just,
high.
So it's a matter of just everybody being,
yeah.
being
And the-
mindful of that and taking all due caution, because if the somebody's response on Facebook said that the fire started because somebody tossed some ashes
Okay,
out into the.
yeah, so that reminds me, when I get mail over at the Hutwell Mail, occasionally I do see cigarette butts that definitely look like they were flicked out of the car or wherever,
Yeah,
and they're still intact, like they're still burning.
Wow.
So, I mean, that, I was shocked, I
right,
have to tell you.
yeah. So that's why I'm just putting it here. I don't know who watches it, but I think we could put out a few more Facebook posts that, people
Well, I'm gonna
really
put
have to
some-
be careful.
I'm gonna put something out that thanks the mutual aid, because I understand a lot of equipment showed up.
Wow.
Yes.
I heard, one of my neighbors stopped me this morning and said that Senator Conway responded to it. Conway was in the Facebook post that I saw being called out right at the beginning, and I believe Freedom was called out right at the beginning. So, there were many
Yeah.
companies that showed up,
I
and
heard
they
6
did a hell of a
different- yeah.
job, because
Right,
when we went to emergency management planning 12 years ago, we went once every 2 weeks or once a month for several months
several months.
to do the emergency planning required for the town.
Yep.
And one of the things that we spent a lot of time talking about was a fire on Oak Ridge Road would be a disaster.
Yeah.
Wow,
Because
and
ridge
sure
fires are
enough.
the worst,
yeah.
because of the way the wind moves. And so as soon as I heard that 22 Oak Ridge had an outdoor fire, and I since heard that it was a shed.
Yeah,
Somebody put
Yeah, that's what I
ashes in a
heard, was that
shed.
it was a
I haven't
shed.
been up there to look at it.
a shed burnt.
So I want to see what it looks like. Somebody put a picture of their own property that got scorched by this.
Yes.
So I don't know how big it was, but this guy just showed his
It's pretty
property.
big.
But I'd like to put a thumbs up to all the municipal
Yes.
fire departments.
Yes.
that responded
Big
to
thank
that. That was really
Big
great.
thank you, but if you use a, wood burning stove, they've got those proper cans you put your ashes into.
Yeah, that's,
And generally,
What it
even
was.
those get so hot on the bottom, when you place them out, you should put them on a concrete or hard dirt surface without any flammables around it.
We,
So,
yeah, the last house fire at Oak Ridge was that exact thing. Somebody took hot ashes.
from their stove.
From their stove,
Wood
from their,
stove.
from their wood stove, put them on the wooden deck, and promptly set the whole thing on fire.
yeah.
So yes, it is something people need to be mindful of. And right now, I believe the National Weather Service has us under a red flag warning,
Okay.
which is so no outside burning,
Yeah.
no,
Disposal of,
right?
Yeah. Okay. That's all I want to say, because
Yeah.
I can't tell you how strong that smell, how pungent it was.
Oh,
On 95,
Yeah.
I couldn't see any fires, but you could smell it. You knew they were close by. So,
And for Madison Emergency Management, the determination was the overall threat for the entire town, not just Idlewise, is brush fire.
right.
It's the number one threat.
Wow.
We know how to do snow, we know how to do ice, we already know how to do this.
those fires.
But fire is the number one threat to the entire
Oh,
area.
yeah.
Not just us,
Yeah,
but certainly, once it hits the hills,
So I hope we get a lot of rain this Thursday.
well,
Well, not that kind of rain.
Right.
Not 2023 rain. But still, a good steady,
Supposed to get an inch.
yeah,
Total.
and yeah, hopefully.
So Nancy, your commissioner's report.
I know you guys saw them. We did put together the original, or the first, put together and put all of the actuals to date
Oh, yeah.
for the spreadsheet
Spreadsheet.
that we'll be using moving forward from now
Yeah.
until after the annual meeting, and then probably monthly after that, so that we don't have to recreate the wheel
Yeah.
in November like we did this year. But just so that, people know, so the budgets actually look pretty good. There's a lot of things, that we're gonna be able to, on the shops, we'll be able to
Yeah.
fill in, next year's health insurance, the property insurance, the liability insurance, the workers' comp, we'll be able to put those things in at the office, pretty quick. A lot of the others we'll be able to look at fairly simply, and then some of them that are showing significant differences can be explained. Like, we haven't used a ton of gravel and a lot of fuel this year because the grader was broken all summer. So there are things that we will be able to prep for the meetings, the upcoming sets of meetings, saying, and yes, this looks odd when you look at this spreadsheet, but here's the reasons why
Oh, yeah.
it looks like this.
Okay.
Because it was definitely a unique year.
Well, yeah.
You
In many ways. So there's some overages that are significant, like legal. And then there's some underspent
Many
that look like, well, you should probably be dropping that budget or looking at things like that, but it's not necessarily gonna be that. It'll be a matter of us having the proper answers for why the 2024 budget on this spreadsheet looks bizarre, and it'll be the outline of everything that we've gone through this year, But overall, this is, I think, the third page, and below that is where we'll start doing warrant articles, and adding that type of stuff
Yeah,
into it. But overall, what are we looking at? For the 2024 budget, operation budget, the budget is 751,205, and the actual is 601,347.
Percentage
So, I don't have that here.
Oh, it's not there.
Yeah, I don't have the percentages here on this one.
I don't think that one has percentages.
Correct,
You're looking at, you're talking about a
QuickBooks gives you
profit and loss.
percentages.
right.
Because that's extremely useful.
Right, and even in the water budget, 254,000, and we've only spent 147. So it's, and a lot of that, especially with the water budget, a big part of that comes to, we didn't have any major catastrophes, which can happen any year and have to be budgeted for, because when the big main breaks,
Yeah.
it takes a lot of money to put it back together.
Just a few minor pesky leaks.
Yes, yes. So just some things that we're gonna have to make sure that we're
We have the
all on the
answers
same
to, yeah.
page as to why these spreadsheets look the way they do for this year, and we'll be working on setting up the 2025. I didn't put any numbers into 2025 at all, because I just didn't think that was appropriate without the workshop,
Right.
Absolutely. So that's why I asked for setting up a workshop.
Yeah,
So I'm picturing Jennifer's gonna enter the numbers as we agree on them at the workshop.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah,
But a lot of the fixed expenses can be pre-filled in, like certainly base salaries we can predict for next year, not overtime, but that we have to estimate. But right, a lot, and then insurances,
right, bonds,
bonds.
you know, those types of things, we can just pull the documentation as to what the numbers are gonna be for next year and put them in, and
Yep.
and because those numbers are all in the office, is why I suggested
Yeah.
the workshop being set up like this in the first place.
That makes perfect sense to me.
So,
Okay.
because you weren't here for that discussion, so we'll bring you up to date.
Still reverse jet lag here.
Yeah, and really the only thing I had listed was to make sure that we set up these other dates.
Which we do
Which
now.
which we have done. Stop that.
Sorry,
It's touchy, you know.
it's like late in the afternoon. My body says it's late in the afternoon.
Okay.
All set?
All set?
So we go to correspondence. There's any?
Nope.
Nope. We wore out the public appearance,
We did.
Yeah.
and there's no public comments.
No?
And so we make a motion to go into non-public session. I'll make that motion under the RSA about discussing employee issues.
Okay.
Second.
Any discussion on that?
Nope.
Roll call vote. How do you vote, Nancy?
Aye.
How do you vote, Woodhull?
Hi.
And I vote aye to go to non-public session at
Okay.
11:28. Thank you, Carol.